Ooh, hair looking fly. Hello. Embracing the middle part.
Jackie, we're on.
Jackie, we're live.
We're live?
Yeah.
You guys don't do that to me.
We are.
We're live.
We're not live
We
right
are
now.
live,
Yeah.
yes. Jackie, we are live right now.
Please tell me you're joking. We are live right now? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, welcome back to the Six Invitational. Was I in camera seriously being like,
Yeah.
oh, I look good, my hair
Yeah.
and everything like that? Okay, well, apparently my IFB isn't working, but that's totally fine. But super excited to be back. It's been a while, and I was gonna say, you know what, I missed y'all, and you all have my heart, but you know who else has my heart? Demo and Ollie! And thanks for having my back.
We got you back,
No,
Jack.
you did. Y'all were like, you're
got you
live
back.
right now. I was like,
The thing that annoyed
okay.
me, right? We're all back. He's saying you were live, Jackie. She doesn't trust us.
Well, that's
Okay, I'm not gonna
So-
lie. I 100%
Unlike us that much.
Yeah.
thought y'all were joking.
Well,
But
we do like to play a little practical joke from now and then, don't we, though?
Yeah, we are practical pranksters of the set.
you know what's funny? I was like, you two, I trust you so much. I think that was on camera, me too. And I was like, I love y'all. You make me feel so comfortable. But okay, anyway, let's get things rolling here. We do have a matchup to talk about. And y'all are excited for this one, right? Okay, BDS versus CYCLOPS. Show me some enthusiasm, Demo.
Woo! No, sorry,
That's really off-brand for you,
that's
Demo.
Roy. What do you mean?
That's quite off-brand for you, Demo.
What, me going whoa?
A little whoop or a holler.
I mean, I'm a bit of a psycho sometimes when it comes to Siege, am I not?
I think you can be, yeah.
You're
Of a
not
fanboy.
psycho.
I mean, I am.
Speak positively, good vibes. Remember we talked about this.
I'm just-
keeping your heart open.
I'm just fan. That's me. I'm Twitch chat. That's me.
Your Twitch chat?
I am Twitch chat.
What does that mean?
And whatever Twitch chat is thinking, I'm also thinking it. And then I'll say it. I'm for the people.
Ollie, moving on.
Yeah,
okay.
I hope that's not always true.
We do have a lot to talk about, though, but before we get into that, let's start off with our first team, and we're going to introduce you to BDS. Take a look. I think. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm still not quite sure why I can't hear anything, but I believe that we're not going to be going to that video of BDS. So, do you want to chat about BDS?
I'd love
we
to.
do
We could
that?
love to
All
talk
right,
BDS.
let's
I'd love
talk
to.
about BDS. Okay. So, I wrote down, let's get down to BDS. Get it? Like business?
Long week.
Could be a long week.
Come
Could be a long week.
on. Okay, all right. Well, they won the Stage 3 Major, and I believe they haven't lost in 6 months, and they're easily a favorite here. A lot of people looking at them, but the pressure is on when you're on top.
It is, and one thing I think for me, for BDS in this competition, is I think this has probably been the best opportunity that we have probably had of a team who could maybe do the back-to-back. And remember, we haven't had a back-to-back champion since 2019. That has not happened. If you're at the top, you don't stay there very long.
Yeah, BDS, one of the things that I wrote in my notes for this is one of their maybe weaknesses could be the pressure. It could be that expectation that
Everyone
they
else has
are
suffered from
on
it,
top,
yeah,
you know, and we've seen so many times where a team that does really well at a major, does really well at an event or in a stage, then there is that pressure and there is that expectation.
Yeah.
Are BDS going to be that difference maker? Are they going to break that chain?
Yeah, and Ollie, frankly, last SI was kind of a mess for BDS. That rhymed. I didn't intend for that. But I feel like they're going to be so fired up for this SI. They've had such tremendous growth, but do you think that this is going to be the year for them, especially with Liquifac?
Quite possibly. Obviously, the Leaky Fact change is getting on a little bit now in the grand scheme of roster changes and moves. It's been on BDS for about 6 months, so it isn't the newest thing, but if you haven't been keeping up with the EU or you've not really been keeping up with Siege up until Invite, then yeah, guess what? Leaky Fact is now on the roster. And BDS has sort of morphed into this sort of new age of team where we'll talk of frontline, backline, and you'll hear a lot of the analysts mentioning things like that, as opposed to the more traditional style of talking where we'll talk about supports, fraggers, and flexes. BDS really sort of put themselves into that newer bracket, don't they, Demo?
Yeah, I think BDS, I feel they made the move that I think maybe Wolves should have made a few months ago. And I think you need to bring someone in new who can really change your play style. BDS, I think for the longest time, were a rigid very stale team. Did the same thing over and over again, similar to what we kind of have with the Russian scene, I think, inside of Siege. And it's kind of evolved with that, with EFAC. Him coming in has been able to give them a playmaker, someone who, if something isn't there for them, they can go straight in and say, okay, let's go for this. And we've seen the plays EFAC makes. He can change an unwinnable position into, oh, they've won the round. That's what he can do. And I think that's been a massive stepping stone for that side. Obviously, mixing Shaiko, who... You always, I know we mentioned EFAC. Shaiko's been with him the whole step of the way. You can't doubt this team.
Yeah, well, how does BDS feel about this, SI? Take a listen.
My name is Brian Elem-Stebesi. I'm playing for Team BDS as a flex player. So we are in Group C with CYCLOPS, Loss 1, Astralis and Oxygen. I think it's a pretty good group for us, to be honest. I think we are the favorite. It's a trap group. Like every team can be like surprising, so we have to watch out. So for this SI, the preparation was pretty good. We practiced a lot. We work on solidarity, on the love we have for each other. Since we picked up EFAC, he brings some new way to attacks, new way to defense, aggressivity. He brings everything. I want to play the most Oxygen to get my revenge from Charlotte Major in the quarters. We lost against them. I just want to beat them in the best of 3. This is a message to all the team here. We know that you underestimate us a lot since those years, but we just won a major, so now you have to respect us. So good luck and have fun, guys.
Well, BDS has always seemed to be so close, but the hammer just out of their grasp, Ollie. They had a great year, strong team, but what needs to happen for them here at SI for them to be successful?
I think they just need to have a good tournament, Jackie. I know that sounds really straightforward and is almost a bit of a cop-out answer, but BDS, we know that they are a team of quality. You could hear Alems talking about it there in the interview. He was mentioning how there's been a good, refreshing change since bringing Leakfak into the roster. And, you know, we could sit here and talk about Shaiko and Leakfak all day, but let's talk about Renshi.
Left hand of God.
Let's talk about Alems. These are two players that have really come into their own with that change as well, and it seems to have enabled them as a team to be able to do more and more. And they've got one of the best supports in the world.
Don't forget about Brit, because I think for a long time, I think probably during stage 1 and stage 2, he was off the game. He wasn't at his best. I think obviously SI as well, he wasn't at his best. But stage 3, he's back to where he needs to be. I think he himself has found his character again, being able to clutch, being able to do all that. I know that you mentioned saying you just want a good tournament from BDS. I don't think with the group from BDS, I don't think it's not a real big challenge for them. I think their group, you would expect them to go in and win every game because they have that caliber, they have that standard. I think everyone else in their group, it's not as if I'm discrediting everyone else, but BDS are on a different level. It's not as if they're in there with W7Ms or your Kois, the teams who have went on and done really good things at majors. I think that we'll see BDS really get challenged whenever we get into our next stage.
Yeah, and we've talked about BDS at length now, so let's talk about their opponent, CYCLOPS. Take a look. Looking sharp. Okay, so Ollie, let's get right to it. CYCLOPS, they have been the top team in Japan for a couple years now, but going into this event, they made their first major roster change in a while, bringing in Arkali. So let's talk about what his impact will be like.
I think a lot of people will sit there and think that this is a roster change that was probably due, Jackie. I think that we were looking at CYCLOPS and we were thinking, you know, they need to make a change. They need to do something. There's only so many times that they can place mid in international tournaments and do very well domestically before they're going to have to bring something new. So unfortunately for Gatorada, he was out and Arkali was in. A relatively unknown player as well. He hasn't really got a whole host of competitive or tier 1 experience behind him, but he could be that little thing that CYCLOPS need to just give themselves a new lease of life.
Yeah, and Dem, a lot of people have written off this 16th seeded team, but they play a strange, unpredictable Siege. And what's your saying? What do you like to say?
I have a lot of sayings these days, Sean.
Okay, come on. You know what you say.
Doesn't matter how.
Don't you do that to me.
It doesn't matter how you've played in the past. It all depends on how you play on the day. And
You see that, Ollie? Come on, Demo.
This is-
Was the show not rough enough for me? We were live and I was fixing my hair. Now you're going to play with me like that?
I'm not playing.
Okay. Continue, though. Okay.
Yeah, how it is. No fencing for me. Just straight
Okay,
in.
no
I would love to come here and say that KAG are going to go and beat BDS and go on to top the group and then move on and win the hammer. I'd love to say that, but I'm not an idiot.
You have said that in the past, though.
Yes.
You have said that in the past.
I know, but then BDS went and did what they did.
Last year, talking about this SI.
I would say if you put the KAG, this year KAG, against the BDS we've seen last year at SI, I'd go for KAG all day of the week.
I think anyone would.
But BDS was a hot mess last
Yeah,
SI, but it's a
exactly.
different
That's what I'm
story
saying.
now.
But not now, because BDS are just at the top of their game. Like I mentioned before, I think that BDS aren't really going to get pushed. I would say, though, if any team's going to push BDS, I think it's going to be KAG. Mostly because the playstyle you mentioned about KAG, they are just...
mercurial.
You don't know what you're going to get with KAG. You know, it's in for a penny. It's the lucky dip. You don't know what you're going to come out with it. I think for KAG, a big tournament for them. I think they have a good group. I think a really good chance of them getting out of this group if they can play the way that we expect them to. And if they get off to a start today and they go and beat BDS, which again, I don't think they will, they could honestly get a bit of momentum behind them, because we know if that team takes off, who knows where they're going to end up.
Well, let's see how KAG is feeling about this SI. Take a listen to this interview.
My name is Arkley, and I play for CYCLOPS Athlete Gaming, and my role is entry fragger. I joined CYCLOPS a month ago. I was in a local league, in a local team, and CYCLOPS needed a player, so I took the opportunity, and I got recruited. I just really wanted to go to CYCLOPS because, you know, they're like an international level team. Our expectation on this SI is to go to playoffs for first. CYCLOPS haven't made the playoffs for like all the international events, I heard. Just try to win. You know, I want to lift that hammer. Team BDS is looking really good, so yeah, we're looking out for them. My message to my opponents is, let's just have fun.
Yeah, certainly interesting to see how this team comes together with Arkley. And Anatun has also been an X factor for this team before, Ollie.
He really has. And I think that one of the things that Arkley said there in the interview was that they just want to have fun is probably one of the most dangerous things about this team.
Yeah.
They're a real hype team. And you'll see that when the game's going and when everything gets underway. They're quite a vocal team. They're quite an energetic team. If things are going their way, they're going to be up and out of the seat. They're going to be shouting. They're going to be cheering because they do have a lot of fun when they play the game. And that's a big part of things. And then you know, you look at who you're going up against, and you're going up to BDS, who, while they've got emotion, they are seen as quite a staunch team sometimes, Demo, and they can be quite straight-faced. I really feel like this is a beautiful clash of play styles, energies, all of that sort of stuff. On one hand, you've got BDS, quite structured, quite known. You know what you're going to expect with the BDS side. Then you throw on KAG and you think, who knows?
I think today, BDS, you have to say the pressure's on them. The team at the top, that's what it's all about, staying at the top, because it's not about what BDS have done in the past. Sure, BDS have went and won Japan Invitational, they've obviously won the Major, won the EUL Finals, but let's be honest, does anyone really care about that? All we care about is what they do next. That is it for BDS, and what they do next is they're going to have to lift the hammer. That's it for me.
Yeah, I think the big thing is KAG is going to play with nothing to lose, right? And like you said, BDS, there's a lot of pressure on them right now. Ollie, talk to me about the mindsets of both of these teams. How do you think they're going into this matchup right now?
I think
What's going through their heads?
I think that KAG will be excited to get out there and to play because they like to give a show. I think they are quite a showy team.
Fun team.
In that sort of a way. They like to put on a good performance.
Little wave.
That's great. However, is that going to be enough to get them through? You know, we've got this new player brought into the roster. We need to see how that fits in. Are they still going to be bringing out those same sort of pocket strats that they like to kind of play? We're going to see a bit of a reliance on shields, you know, some more strange, unusual things creeping in there that we don't always see with other regions. And then on BDS, on the flip side, how are they prepared to deal with that? Are they going to directly try to remove that? So, mindset-wise, I think the BDS will have quite a solid plan of how they want to approach this.
Monty ban has to be you're going
to be looking at some sort of shield ban.
I'm looking forward to see Anatun. I think he's probably been one of the best shield players we've had in the past 2 years. I think, you know, he's kind of taken the mantle from Pengu, who was that for a long time. So they've got some really strong characteristics. You know, I think they've got some really good high world-class qualities, but it's just the consistency of doing that against the bigger sides. They can go and do it against, you know, teams in APAC North, but that's a completely different caliber to what they're dealing with now, and that is BDS.
Okay, well, I believe that we're ready to move into the map ban phase, so let's see if we can get that information up on your screen right now. What are y'all anticipating here? Anything that's like popping out to you that you're like, ooh, I'm gonna see this, or?
Ban your clubs, CAG, ban your clubs.
Yeah, Clubhouse is a map that, whilst both teams do preference it, it's definitely one that, as CAG, you're going to want to remove. Not surprised to see them remove that second. Chalet getting thrown out there as well. Isn't necessarily a map that BDS like to play all too often. It is their lowest preference map, so it makes a lot of sense to see that removed. Although, just because it's the lowest preference doesn't mean that they won't play it at all. We've already mentioned BDS are in a fortunate position in this group where they are pitted as favourites to take it, so they can do a little bit of funny business with these map bans, and they can try to keep things back a little bit, and I think that's probably what we're seeing a little bit more here. Bank getting removed as well by BDS. Bank has always, for me, been a classic CAG map. It just screams their playstyle all over the place.
Comes into the swing of things. We know that with CAG. I look at this map pick, Ollie, and I think BDS just have the depth. I generally don't think BDS have like a bad map in them. I think they're, again, probably Chalet. You'll see the Chalet ban a lot from BDS because everyone in EU plays Chalet. Because I think, you know, you look at our M&Ms, you look at our Navis as well inside of EUL. That's always a map that they're really good at. So you never really see BDS taking teams to that map. So that makes sense. But I'm sure they can still play it. Skyscraper was really good performance that they had against Heroic at the EUL finals. Heroic really didn't have a look in at all during that Skyscraper. BDS, I think their defense on that side has been phenomenal. I think they know exactly the way that they should be playing Skyscraper. Those long extensions across, try and defend the Dragon, try and defend in towards Drum. So they have their finger on the pulse whenever it comes to Skyscraper.
Okay. I just got word that our teams are ready to go. So let's send it over to Faluke and Hap for BDS versus Cyclops. And yes, y'all are live. I got fooled earlier, but y'all are live, Faluke and Hap. So take it away. It's coming.
Oh, how's your hair? Mine's looking fine.
It's looking fine.
Oh, we're live. Oh, I'm so... Poor Jack. I mean, if it happened to anyone else, it would have been a lot worse. But Jackie's just so, like, pure and lovely and cute and innocent. It was a very magical moment.
It's her production laugh in my ear as well.
Not believing Demo and Demo going, Jackie, we're live. We're live. We're on. Don't do that to me.
It happens. Don't worry.
Hey.
You know, we got a game of Siege.
That's Hap. Neither of us.
Yes.
And Jackie. And we have CYCLOPS versus BDS. They're just getting the last players into the lobby.
Yeah, just
It'll be in a moment. It should be ready, but it's going to be quite exciting because, okay, people expect BDS to win this group. For my money, the one team that could upset the car is CYCLOPS.
It's always CYCLOPS, right? Like, if there's any team that can make an upset happen, it is going to be CYCLOPS. And I started thinking back to one of the earlier engagements these two had. It's not Mexico, you know, they played there twice, but it's the Six Invitational before that, where...
The cameraman just fell over.
Please, someone check on him. But either way, it was Cafe back then, and CYCLOPS really played that aggressive game of not letting BDS, same for Empire, into the building. Back then, it was an 8-7 loss for CYCLOPS, so there's definitely something to be gained here. But if we look at the bigger picture, BDS, they have just won the Unchipping Major. So they are definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with here. Now, we have to say there is a special friendship between CYCLOPS and Medics, and they're quite upset that it is easy observing. So,
okay,
we're not going to go into details.
No, we're not going to go into details, but it's always fair to say from our perspective, they're in a good mood. CYCLOPS are in. And this is the thing that I'm really enjoy about this matchup, about these two teams, is we know these two teams, we know these two rosters. They've played each other about 3 times in total, generally, of the existence. And these times go back ages. They go back 2 years. However, even with it going back so long, there's only a single roster difference on both of these two teams. Obviously, BDS, they made a big change slightly earlier on in the year, and it came to massive success at Likefak. But here, for the first time in 3 years, CYCLOPS have changed a player on the roster. Gadarada is gone. In that spot are Cully.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how this is going to be helping Cyclops, if it helps them at all, because they have been that team that has been, well, at the top of APAC North for quite a while. They never really had too much troubles ending up in the top 4, and they've managed to make it to majors. They've managed to, well, beat the giants that were in their groups as well, but they always seem to have been their own worst enemy, right? It's like they play well, they start off well, they're about to be winning the game, and suddenly the car drives off a cliff and the other team is able to take it. So I'm hoping that Cyclops has been able to fix that issue. But of course, they're coming up against BDS. Again, reigning major champions. Leakefat coming in on his rookie season.
Is the cameraman okay?
The cameraman is having some troubles, don't worry. Yeah, Leakefat coming in on his rookie season, rookie stage, instantly winning the major, just like Spoy did with Koi.
Comparison of how smooth this shot is.
I think this is a crane that is
No, but it's just so funny. I really enjoy it. I'm having a good day. It's a good first day. There's good SI vibes. But you were saying Leakefat coming in, doing the business.
Yeah.
Rookies have had good business. Rookies over the past 2 majors, Berlin and Jönköping.
Yes.
Still practicing my pronunciation. However many months after the event. Both of them had a young gun rookie in the roster that helped lead them to success. Could this be the biggest, youngest gunnerist rookie to do the business? Arculi. Obviously, there are other rookies that have come in, but this is the biggest stage.
I mean, it would be a first that an APAC team would reach a grand final. It would be a first an APAC team would win.
Yeah.
Like a major tournament. It would be a first for APAC to win the Six Invitational. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen for a very first time for our colleague to continue the current trend that we're having with rookies being successful on their entry stage. But for Cyclops, I guess their main goal is going to be to get out of groups first. And after that, see where they will be ending up. See how high they can bring it, which teams they will be fighting. If I'm quickly looking back, both these teams actually having the same performance in the last Six Invitational, ending up on the 17th to 20th spot. Gotta say though, BDS did have some issues back then, and later that year they made that roster change. And as I believe a lot of anime is being discussed right now.
What?
Yeah, something like that. I was just checking.
Oh,
the
you're
chats coming
referencing,
through.
yes.
Yeah, no, referencing the chat that people can see.
You gotta talk about what the audience can see.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm
have to
telling them
paint
what
the
they're
picture.
talking about. They're talking about anime right now before the game. So if you ever wonder how you prepare for your first game at the Six Invitational, this is how Cyclops and BDS do it.
If you missed it as well, the maps that we will be finding ourselves heading into, Skyscraper as the opener, into Border, into Oregon. Now, Skyscraper is a map, there's not a huge amount of teams, especially in the EU, that really enjoy attacking Skyscraper, really enjoy bringing a game to it. BDS are one of those teams, though. They have, to be a lot of people's money, one of the widest map pools of anyone. Now, they still have bans and things they don't like, but they seem to have a good game for a lot of these sort of outlier options.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at the stats, it's been pretty even, 4 won, 4 lost, banned against them, 22. Overall, I think I might have cut out there for a second.
Yeah,
either way.
You said some very poignant
I was saying a lot of numbers, and I'm not going to repeat them. But overall, it's like pretty 50-50
Maybe that's why you got silence.
in whether or not they ban or get banned and all that kind of stuff.
There's a little picture-in-picture on the ban screen.
Oh, yeah.
Nook is the first removal here. Gone instantly off the board. Now, the way Skyscraper can work on the attacks and what makes it a little bit awkward is for sort of the big journey that you often have to take over the top. If you're thinking about attacking towards, say the sort of terrarium side or the opposite onto Dragon, it's a huge bit of effort. It's a huge bit of motion over the top and externally rotate. You've got to either try and cut your way through, take a bit of a risk and a gamble, and it just means long plays become a little bit more dangerous. BDS got quite good at this. But Cyclops, Skyscraper sort of sits in a place where they've played it. The statistics are swayed by the Japanese league. They've, I think, played it there 4 times, maybe, and had pretty good success on it.
Yeah, they've found success there, and of course that gets picked up in the stats. Usually we look at them and be like, all right, well, It's Japanese league. It's not really the tier 1 league that they're working in. So how much is it really going to be worth? The Japanese league is one of the most competitive leagues there is in the world in terms of national leagues. A lot of prize money as well. A lot of these teams actually do care on winning it. So it is always a good measure to take those into account. And as we get going, the first round is going to be in the exhibition room. So we're going to the east side of the building. Now, what we do sometimes see here is a clash going outside and stopping anybody from using that southern wall to open up. But for now, no clash. And that means the attackers would have some more freedom to start opening up these walls.
One of the things about this group, and I know we talked about BDS seen as having one of the easier rides, people have a similar idea of CYCLOPS. It's not that the two teams have been phenomenal, but they've been consistent. And the rest of the group is generally made up of teams that haven't quite had that same consistency throughout the year. You're obviously looking at RXG, you're looking at Astralis, you're looking at teams that have had success, but also unfortunately have the opposite of that. And here is a good moment. Whichever of these two teams take blood really does set themselves up for the chance at sort of cementing a top spot early on in the day. Talking of early in the day, here is Anaton seeing if they can try and catch BDS early in the day, waiting on the side of the breach, hoping they don't get caught out, looking for a repel and a long fight. The pressure's going to come from the other side. Brede.
It's going to find it as well this way. There's no drone there to check, so got to make sure that they actually droned that out because he's...
Yeah, they've pulled back. They have the reveal. Someone on a camera, a Claymore down there. The Soulless, they do have the hard wall to put it up. They're thinking about the time. There's the repel over the opposite side, watching out towards the swing out. There's the run, there's the motion, there's the spray through the flag. And a P90 claims another victim for the day.
Solas seeing quite a lot of play so far during the Six Invitational, and you know, this was helpful as well. Realized, God, it's Claymores are being set down. It might go for an actual breach or a repel further down the line. It's exactly what they did. And what CYCLOPS did there is leave that wall soft. They could lean outside without really being detected, and as long as no drone comes in, you are still unspotted. That's still a free kill opportunity, and they grabbed it well. That's an opening kill. Now up to converting it.
Well, first step is sort of pulled away from them here. BDS, they sometimes do take a little bit of time to warm into a game, especially into a series, and with the second off the board, Renshiro not entirely locked out. They might be able to get him picked up. They just have to try and draw some attention away because they know pressure from CAG isn't usually that far behind. Ayagator, he's tucked in close, just behind the dragon statue. Arkali gets one for himself. Likefak actually put them as a bit of curiosity that I'll talk about in a minute as the fight starts to break its way over the side of Terrace. The catch on the C4, the pop of the E1D. They're tucked on the corner, but with Ayagator getting a double, well, suddenly Alems is all that's left. Will CYCLOPS open up with a flawless round here? It's down to Alems to try and stop that.
Wouldn't be surprised if they do at this point. I mean, CYCLOPS is known for their aggression, and BDS has been against them 3 times before. They know exactly what they're running into here, but they just need to be, you know, finding themselves. You mentioned it before. They need to warm up in that match. They need to find a ways to stop CYCLOPS dead in their tracks. But you can do it sooner rather than later. That's a spot. Not actually able to convert it. Anaton with another kill. That's a flawless round from CYCLOPS.
Wow, you could not ask for a better start for a CYCLOPS fan. But the thing about CYCLOPS fans, as a CYCLOPS enthusiast myself, you never know how a game is going to go. You've never known how a game is going to go. CYCLOPS is CYCLOPS.
Worst enemy.
If this is your first time ever watching Siege, if this is your first time ever watching this region, CYCLOPS are their own worst enemy. They can play some of the most confident, deadly, dangerous Siege. It's so often quoted by teams that meet them on the online that they never know what to expect, or meet them on LAN even, that they never know what to expect. They're not used to playing against a team like CYCLOPS. But sometimes CYCLOPS are CYCLOPS, and sometimes things will pull away. Their first roster change in 3 years is potentially huge, and I briefly mentioned it before, that Arkali versus Likefak, I'm really curious to see how this comes together. Not in an idea of that they're sort of playing the same roles, but it's 2 rookies on the biggest stage with 2 teams that have been here before. Whichever one of these starts to potentially hit a bit of ground, that confidence could be one of the biggest factors in how they swing and approach each other. Because SI, it doesn't handle like no other horse, baby.
I'm just going to quote a certain host we have here, Milosh. It's the granddaddy of them all, as he calls the Six Invitational. But the thing is about Likafak as well, he joined the lineup, and that was the first stage after 7 consecutive stages. Shaiko did not drop 100 kills, instead Likafak did. So he's definitely one of those impact players, but he needs to keep that up, especially here during SI.
Bedroom, as the second lean into here, is a site that you don't really see.
No, I was going to mention it.
Too often. It's
not one.
Probably the lowest pick rate across all the 4 regions here, and there's a lot of pressure that can be applied onto it. You don't really have a lot of wiggle room. There's a lot of softs above. There's a lot of ways of a route through. You can get some direct angles, so they've made some direct angles of themselves. Anaton with the little peek out there on the side of the mirror window just to keep an eye on an oppression that's coming through. The role of the Thatcher is on the board. They have obviously the Selmas as well to cause some damage if they want to, and a Twitch for good measure. They're making quick work of at least the hefty bits of the hold above.
I don't know where 2 of these players are, but Aegator is going to be taken down first, at least in a DBNO state, not quite confirmed. But there's no one going to be able to pick him up because, you know, you can see that the angle is currently being held, so all they can do on CYCLOPS' side is just waste time, see if they might find themselves in an opportunity to go for it. Shaiko, you know, he just casually walked into the site as Likafak joins and Bride as well, and kills are starting to flood in.
Well, CCC at least gets one back and should be able to get Anaton up, but still puts them in a pretty decisive situation here where they've lost control of the site. With BDS and the blue of them flooding in underneath, Bride is going to see if he can try and find a little innocent pocket to get the plant in. There's a fight that gets a bit scrappy. They didn't quite expect it, but now it's suddenly CCC trying to drive back some of this control above. He knows it's all opened up behind him, though. And now he knows he's the only one left. Everybody else has been caught out here, and this is the problem with this site. It can become very leaky very fast.
So we don't often see it as soon as, well, they're inside and the top is receiving massive amounts of pressure. There's not much you can do with that verticality. It's not as safe as it is on different sites, for example, or different maps, rather. If you look at Clubhouse and you look at Bar Stage, there is relative safety when you want to be using these verticalities. You don't really have that on a map like this. So many soft walls these attackers can utilize against you. And that's well done there by BDS. Equalizing that score, not wanting to roll over instantly to CYCLOPS and their aggression. And, you know, telling, you know, we have some aggression of ourselves that we're going to be showing you today to try and continue their win streak against them. And now we're going to karaoke. This is usually the first site you see when we're headed towards a Skyscraper. It's now going to be the third.
It was almost a flawless response to a flawless first round. Only one body was dropped in the engagement, but the fact they were able to just swing their way into sight, this is the thing I sort of highlighted before about BDS on this map. They're confident attacking it. They know how to sort of get the gears turning. They know how to try and find those little pockets and places to plant and construct themselves opportunities, which some teams in the growth of Skyscraper, because you don't really see it too much, you don't get a great taste and ability to grow from it. A lot just ban it. Just have the ability to remove it in the best of ones that we have in most of the leagues around the world.
That's it, right? Like when we go through these best of threes, you often see like these maps that are, well, less played or maybe more one-sided, and that's how they develop in a meta like this. Either way, we've seen it quite a lot in Europe actually from BDS, also from Koi/Rogue. So BDS definitely know how to deal with it on several top-tier teams. We're at the Six Invitational as well. Phone calls going off. That is going to be stopping any of the CYCLOPS players from moving just momentarily here. That's going to be a shoulder pick coming in from the mirror. Mark 14 willing to connect.
I mean, the Vector's a good gun, but
not on range.
Not on range against a Mark 14 with that lineup that they've got here. The pressure as Army has been let through on this. We've seen it banned and otherwise used pretty frequently alongside a Solus that's been on the boards for most of the rounds throughout our maps today. So the pressure here breaking its way across the back. They're looking for the top of Black Stairs. A great bit of the use of the Flores drone and operator that BDS do love and have talked about the benefits that can sort of be used to here. Break across. That should be able to get both those as Armies. Pops off just around on the side. The keeper barriers will get removed, and that makes all of these holes. Oh, okay, maybe the Vector should take those fights. Cully.
I mean, it's kind of the thing, right? It's a one-shot headshot game, so the Vector has a high fire rate. Again, another bit of a run out coming through from Black Ray, takes down Shaiko. It's going to be another one of these top fraggers of BDS off the board, leaving only 3 alive here with 1:10 left on the clock. Now, there's been some openings, but most of them have been made by CYCLOPS, actually, to bring that aggression towards BDS. As that drone rolls in, it's going to be able to spot 2 players out on the other side of that wall, so they're going to be fully aware of the fact that the majority of the push is coming down from the drum side.
Curly getting himself a bit closer to the fire here, wants to swing round onto Dragon. As soon as he gets the idea, there's a ping, but there's also a soft wall, and the Echo drone is filtering all that intel towards them. They have some control over the back end of the main stairs itself. They know when the approach is coming, and with 40 seconds, it's going to have to be directional. They're going to have to start trying to formulate a play, and Gator stops the first bit. Brede gets battered back on the Geisha balcony and forced to a slightly different angle. His army's still tucked with some safety round on the hard wall, another smoke canister, but with the angle and idea, can they get a catch? There's Likefak, and there's at least Brede picking up some revenge for that, but it does just leave them. It does just leave 15 seconds. It won't be a second flawless, but once again, 4 players alive.
Well done by CYCLOPS there. I don't know if you saw it there, but the breach they had into Geisha was kind of messed up. Not going to be able to be faulted, not going to be able to be crawled through or even run through due to that. Brede forced to go for a different kind of rotation. Not quite sure how impactful that was to BDS in their entire round, but I can't help but think it's definitely going to stop whatever they were planning at that point. That puts CYCLOPS in the lead, 2-1. Back towards the exhibition, the first site we've seen, the one they won flawlessly as well, as they brought that aggression early on. But that's the thing. They've just shown some of those tricks. I don't think you're going to be able to pull them off again against BDS, especially that southern wall, having it open, trying to go for a pre-fire that way. I think that will be watched this time. I think there will be a drone just checking if someone is playing in that corner.
It would make sense. I mean, this is the thing about CYCLOPS. As I said, they're very hard to play against on their day. They enjoy the fights. They have the one unknown entity to see if they piece together. For context on where Akali came from, it was another, obviously, Japanese league team called Crest Gaming, who actually beat CYCLOPS in the Japan Invitational not too long ago, 2-1. So they sort of said, we're not having that, we're having him. Brought him into the roster and seeing how he can go. This is his first big play with the team.
Kind of if you can't beat him, you buy him. Right?
Yeah, can't beat him.
Mentality right there from CYCLOPS. Thinking it was time for a change, finally, after many years. Now on their first big test to see how it works out. Who knows, they might be the new hope of APAC for this tournament here. After Elevate, unfortunately, suffered that early loss.
Oh, the drone just slips by and just tucks its way into karaoke and then pulls back. They get it. They're going to see if they can pull themselves out. Shaiko's concerned about a jump out. Fair enough. Has been a consistent problem. This is set up here. The mirror with the Azami barricade behind it gives you a view and gives you a bit of safety. The mute jammer as well. Just to stop the breach. It's such a fun extension and nothing that you see too often. It's a play that you can see BDS, they're trying to whir and piece together how to pull it apart, whether they have to. They're generally going for a wider take this time. They've got themselves slightly set up here on the balcony, but they're not going to risk it. They knew that's where they suffered. So instead, get inside the building, get internal, get on the opposite side, get your way in via Geisha and push across the second story.
Definitely letting BDS know that they are looking to go aggressive. Just some pre-fires going out of the window, not really accurate, just to suppress it. Let them know, hey, if you stick around too long, you might just get shoulder peeked. And that's the pre-fire coming in from Alems. He's not quite able to connect fully to Anaton, but he's stuck in deep. He's not going to get the kill, however. Alems shuts him down, but that could have gone the other way.
Oh, EFAC there with the take underneath. Good bit of utility combination there. They had the call. We saw a bit of damage and destruction coming up, and Akali's going to see if he can step in as a bit of a surprise factor. They still have the mute jammer. They still have some time, but there's also time that plays into BDS's favor here. The first 2 kills are theirs. The aggression did not quite pay off this round. And with a player stuck either side, Shaiko can hit that, but it's a bit of audio. Where are you going, Kuli? If he can get unchecked here, he might be able to pick up a player who's behind him if he knows the player's there. Suzuki is gone. There's the watch. Brede. He was ready for that. And there is the flawless return.
So we have 2 flawless rounds on exhibition now. 1 in favor of CYCLOPS, 1 in favor of BDS. And I don't know really what to say about BDS. Well read. They figured out the positions. They managed to actually isolate those players, use utility, get the shots in when they were needed. I have to say, though, Anaton going quite aggressive. After the first shots were missed by Elems, he just decides to completely cross the window and try and take it from the other side. Unfortunately, he misses his shots with the Vector though, otherwise that could have been a different round. BDS so far 2 attacking rounds. I think they'll be okay with that for now. Of course, they would love to have more, but I think they'll be mostly banking on their defenses here, considering, you know, the attacks are, in general, the harder thing to play.
Oh yeah, on this map especially as well. You're looking at tricky places to play yourself into. That's always one of the big problems here with Sky, is it's tricky at points.
Yep.
The way the building is structured isn't as formulaic in terms of design as other maps. There's not the easiest, you know, sort of route through. If it's music, it's jazz. You're trying to piece a story here. Oh, there's a drone that just gets caught out at the very end.
It's unfortunate. At least some information here for Cyclops to use. 3 drones actually lost on the side of BDS. That is something we do not often see.
I mean, a combination of a Solus and a Mozzie.
Yeah, it helps, you know, it gets you those drones
They've
out,
also got a mute. There's not a riskier drone round, and another tougher one. They're damaged, they're not down. They should be able to get the pick up there. Iagator just hopped out onto the top of Black Balcony and is getting himself a bit safer.
Just went for a bit of an aggressive run now. Managed to get a lot of damage done onto Likafak. And, you know, whilst they might not have the kill now, he's been DBNO. That means any single bullet hits him now, he's going to be dead. So if you are a little bit quicker, if you are the first one to just run through and try and go for that pre-fire, you'll find yourself at success and a kill to come through.
That's it. The others, they've played against most of the same Cyclops roster before. This is the first time for Likafak, and, well, he's sort of showing them why it can be a bit dangerous at points. He's suffered a couple of times in these very aggressive bits of movement and swing out, and well, if he can try and get in his head, as I said, he is one of the ones I want to see start to get some confidence as this game continues, because when he is on, he is unstoppable. Maybe a bit of a drone work there played underneath the Mozzie. He has himself, I think, the catch there just on the drone hole. They seem to have some awareness. So they're actually going to pull themselves a bit further back. The pings come through, 1:20, and BDS is still trying to fish for a first fight here.
C4 toss-up maybe from... No, does he have it? No, he doesn't have it. So, well, it's still the kill coming through, but there's going to be a lot of players spotted out as well by that pulse, just playing below, feeding all the information, and then BDS don't really have a way to deal with it, rather than just trying straight on attack. But that's not going to be working out due to these angles that already have been set up. Breeday's now cutting it close around the corner. He needs to worry about whether or not they know he's coming.
It's the thing. EFAC is able to find SuSuC on the back end. Shaiko's going to see if he can try and put pressure onto Office Balcony. Gets control of Terrace with a player on his shoulder. The cam goes cold, and Breeday gets Arcully cold as well. Iagator, he looked to do a little bit of remodeling. They've actually pulled themselves back out. There it is. Goes up on the window. That should get punched out because, well, they already know that the player's in that position, so why not make the noise? They're still concerned about the run out, the slight repositioning round on the back. There's Black Gray. There's Black Gray. Breeday knew that that was going to be a problem that he would have to fix sooner rather than later. Iagator gets one. There's EFAC watching the rotation for Anaton, who does get one just before. A great take from Iagator. Now, a 1 versus 1. And it's Alemsis to take.
Softball there not helping him as he had to rotate back, fully aware the ponytail spotted out, and kill coming through. So nice congratulations coming down from BDS on winning that round to themselves, just to make sure that the the morale stays high. So we're quickly going back over some of these replays. We're headed towards karaoke now. They're not tripling down onto exhibition. Cyclops isn't, that is. And are looking to bring it to a different site that they managed to win before. But if BDS get this 4th round, it's going to be a very, well, tough second half for Cyclops to come through.
Oh, very tough. One of the big changes I think we've seen from BDS over the past couple of rounds has been the internal flank watch. Sure, there's a danger outside that they are ever present about. You could see Breeday spend a good 40 seconds waiting for the run out there to come around on the side, and they suffered from that window before. They're a team that is taught by blood, it seems. However, look at the positioning there of Breeday on the round before. Look at the positioning there of Likafak on the round we just had. They're watching for these rotations now. They're sort of trying to get, okay, we have the 5 versus 4, we've got that first kill, now we can dedicate a player to stopping Cyclops do Cyclops things.
It's kind of what I said, right? Like after 3 rounds, they're going back to sites they've already played. They've shown some of the tricks that CYCLOPS have in their pockets. And BDS, they are a major championship winning team. They know how to adapt. Adaptation is the name of the game. So they are able to just, you know, wait, be patient. Because CYCLOPS sure as hell isn't patient. They will start running. They will start peeking everything. And that's how you get free entry kills.
Talking of confidence on the Ash, an operator that we should see have a bit more presence, I think, over this tournament as well as to some of the recent changes. Black Grape might be the first point of call here. Heard the drone whir around, ready for a fight, but it's Shaika with the pre-fire. The bounce of the grenade just tucked around on the corner, gets caught by the first Wamai disc that was popped through. Expect a run out, fair enough. There's a Claymore there. They're at least looking for revenge if things go away from them, but still, they have a bit of time. Just look how long he holds it for.
Barricade now destroyed by the Kiba. Second grenade is going to be tossed in. Where's it going? Close around the corner, but it's not going to be catching anybody. Player is a bit further away. They now know the second one is gone, though, so don't no longer have to worry about that. And that means that the Shotgun of Black Ray can now suddenly play a lot closer to try and take down Shaika as soon as he tries to move in.
Might look like he doesn't want to. He's pulled himself around, the pressure starts to come on the opposite side, 1.5 minutes gone, and they've been able to at least draw some attention and focus, but the longer it goes on, the more somebody has to make a move. It's EFAC. Up around the bottom of Black Stairs is trying to offer a second perspective here on the fight, hope to catch the player. The call of that, the purr of the Banshee, and instead they pull back. The shotguns hopped around towards the opposite side, and now they're right pressed up against the wall on the side of the site itself. They're stacked, but they still need a bit of a force, a bit of pressure. Peppered bullets towards iGator on the far end, and losing this is a big bit of control, but it's still the site that's the danger. And Shiro, he needs to try and draw some focus, draw a firefight, try and get the opposite end to the hammer and anvil approach towards that side on Geisha, but cannot quite catch the player that is loose. So, a drone out, a bit of attention, a bit of a draw, and iGator, who's been having a great game so far, is not ready to have this half ended for him.
Yeah, they need to make sure they will knock out one of these deadlocks they're currently in. Either take out Geisha or take out the player in the bar, and suddenly you have a lot more free movement of trying to make happen what you need to make happen. Player coming down from the actual pit coming through. That's a double kill, triple kill actually coming through from CYCLOPS, leaving it only up to Shaika and LMs right now to try and make sure they win this half.
He gets 1 and 2 down the corridor itself. He's looking to try and cut the kit, and that is currently sort of isolated. LMs, well, he's able to get a bit of a side drift onto Anaton, but you're looking at 10 seconds, and you're now looking at just Shaiko. Not much blood left, and 2 players to try and take care of. No kit to get that planted either. The first swing, well, it's sort of laid ahead of him, and it's our Cullies to lock out a 3 apiece half. And we find ourselves still even batting.
Well done there by CYCLOPS, making sure they stayed patient, because it's literally the criticism I gave them as this round started, because they will start running, they do not have the patience, they will start just, you know, throwing bodies at the problem, and all BDS had to do was wait. So what they did right now, they waited, but no entry came to them, and that is what eventually, well, might have actually cost them that round, because there was just nothing they could work with. They had to go for a bit of a push, and well, that got them shut down as quickly as that started. Now, headed over to the side swap, CYCLOPS is headed over to the attack. BDS now on the defense. Mentioned it, defense should be slightly, at least, preferred for both these teams. Attack is usually where you need to solve that puzzle the defense tosses up to you. And as I'm taking a look at the right-hand side of my screen, I'm seeing a blitz being repicked to a ace, but then being repicked by someone else to from glass to blitz. So there's definitely going to be a bit of a high-paced push coming down here from CYCLOPS. Even though they did swap out some of those operators that would indicate it. Like a Glass was momentarily on the field, a Ying was. They're not committing to those. They're committing to not even the blitz either. They repicked it off last second. So for a second, they thought they were going to go for it, but they probably want to be making sure they bring some more structure in round 1.
They have the means of pushing pressure onto this. If this gets fully locked in, you've got a Thatcher on the board, you've got the ability to crack it across. To be honest, some of the claws that get held as well, you'll see teams break it from underneath too. That wall isn't the sort of sturdiest. You often set yourselves up with the chances and ideas that it might get broken up, and you have to have a plan B. Think of it like, you know, Clubhouse CC. There's usually the steps to the side of it that are the big problem.
2 minutes left on the clock. Cyclops on that droning phase. Trying to find out where there is any of these roamers. And yes, there is Leak Effect down below now in the bathroom. But he has been droned out. And then the question becomes, is there anybody hunting him? Well, if you look at our Cully close to him, there's definitely someone who's going to be holding one of his exits, but a verticality is going to be putting up some pressure there. The shotgun through the wall takes him down, and that's Leak Effect putting him off the board.
What a great hold there from BDS. The surprise strike from the second story and rocked by the shotgun through the wall. He had no idea that was coming, and to be fair, not many people would. They do like to play this map, and Leak Effect now has a little bit more time. I sort of pointed out that you can approach this and often do from underneath as a good way of getting control of the wall. Now that option has probably gone from them. They don't want to risk it, and look who they've lost. Well, they've been able to at least take Lems out, but they did lose. Arcully, they lost one of their grenades. They've got one more. Can they get the pick back up? They're ready and waiting for a fight. The spray comes over the top of Black Gray, but they just sneak themselves to safety with a lot of time wasted here.
A lot, like a heavy cost as well, though, on the Cyclops side. Heavy
You're right.
Down. Ooh,
there he is.
Coming through.
Did he hear me?
Might have actually. Gotta talk a little bit quieter.
Oh,
you cannot give it away to them. Either way, flashbangs coming through. They're wanting to make that push happen overhead. But in the meantime, they also still need to open up the triple wall on the south. Oh! Run out, stopping that. Shaco's bringing back the aggression that Cyclops brought to them earlier on. That's definitely going to be making it a lot more problematic opening up that full wall now.
No, because they threw it.
Yeah, but not the full wall.
The full wall, sure, but they at least still got part of the opening done. And that, to me, is still worth it. They had the grenade dropped, the best kind of grenade dropped, and they made sure that they moved around the back of it. Anaton just sees the back end of Renshiro, gets the drop down, is concerned about a swing back round, confirms the kill and pushes it because you got 10 seconds. Caught on a camera at the top of the red stairs, gets that drop, but the players left on the site itself. They've got to see if they can try and just hold a bit of an angle. They swing into the fight. They're pretty much out of time, and bullets dropped over the top. And Suzu, well, he'll hold F, but unfortunately they have you surrounded. 4 rounds for BDS.
Good hold coming through there. I like the verticality that we saw from the start, where they were able to catch Arcully off guard, of course, with the help from Leak Effect, who was spotted earlier on, using that shotgun to just blast through the wall. They had an idea of where he was. Just needed to secure that kill. Well done.
10 seconds left.
And suddenly, like everything else Cyclops does, is about regaining that bottom floor under control. They basically almost lose a player due to getting that grenade up. That's a DBNO. You lose basically all your health. Take a single bullet and you're out. And eventually, they just ran out of manpower and out of time. Not really having an opportunity to make up for it. So BDS leading 4-3. Retaking that lead after they have momentarily lost it. And now looking at the right-hand side of my screen, it hasn't been locked in yet. It wasn't locked in last round, but I'm going to say it. I think they're going to go for the push now.
Do you think?
I'm 99% sure they're going to go for a quick push with Blitz and
this is a quick push lineup?
10 seconds left.
Yes, I do. I think they swapped out of it because it was exhibition last time, and they actually wanted to go for it if it was.
Do you think with a Ying?
No, I don't think it is anymore. I think it's just going to be a methodical push now. That won't change.
A methodical, slow and steady push.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a Blitz on the board and the diffuser in the pocket of the Blitz, it usually gives an idea. I think that camera would have just got, obviously, the reveal of the ammo. And they should at least expect someone to zip up, but it's not the biggest giveaway. There's always the idea of playing up underneath. There's always a couple of little spots that you can put some dangers in, and it looks like they might want to charge up Black, try and get themselves in. They're going to see if they can maybe slip a plant into Karaoke itself directly, as usually what teams will do when they're trying to go exceptionally quickly, just making sure that nobody is underneath Arcully. With a bit more width and a bit more of a rotate, they're prodding. A rush can still have some preparatory work. You don't just have to hold the shift key. You can get yourselves prepped and ready for an idea and do some reconnaissance.
Yeah, for sure. You got to make sure everything and everybody is in the right position to actually go for it, because otherwise it's just guaranteed to fail. This is a hot breach.
Come on.
Yes, it is.
Hot breach.
We almost never see this coming through.
Shaiko gets Ayagator. Shaiko gets Suzu C because the man was not blinded. Things have fallen apart on that push. The Blitz itself was blinded by the Candelas and the pops. Anaton is just taking the pings, waiting for it. It's a glass. It's not the easiest thing to swing, but well, the thing about it is they don't have to do anything at this point. They know where the kid is. They've got themselves locked in. The pressure is on CYCLOPS here to try and push their way back in. And what do they really have in their pockets?
See, this is the thing about Siege. Sometimes all you need to do is nothing.
All you need to do is be a man with fancy glasses.
Well, yeah, or that, but I mean, right now, all they need to do is do nothing on BDS's side, right? Like, they just don't peek, they just throw some utility, keep them busy, but don't really go and give them any gunfights, because that was when it may start to run away from them. But that was, like, quickly turned around indeed by Shaiko as they tried to run through. It's the glass now taken down. It's only up to BlackRay now. He finds his first. Confirmation comes in as well, but with 50 seconds left on the clock, the diffuser dropped, and basically nothing but 2 air jabs and 3 flashbangs in his position given away by the proximity alarm. I don't think BlackRay is going to be able to clutch this out, but we've been proven wrong times before, so who knows? This might be one of those 1v5 clutches.
This is the thing where I think experience kicks in. It's one of the sort of comments that we make about teams that are fresh here and teams that are still trying to get their bearings on the biggest stage is sometimes you get a bit eager. That's when mistakes happen, when you get a bit too excited, a bit too eager. BDS aren't that. They're on cruise control at this point. They've been in this situation a million times. Pop the smoke. They know they've got to come this way. They know there's no real other route. You can pre-fire across the bow. There's a C4 that's thrown. There's a bit more pressure. There's just a statement saying you can come up these stairs if you want, but, well, you'll be met by death.
So that might have actually functioned as a informal tactical timeout for CYCLOPS there. Just taking those 45 to talk, not with your coach, but with each other. As, that round was not going to go anywhere. And just to explain what happened there, they wanted to go for the rush. The Blitz had his shield on his back.
Yep.
That's just because you run a bit faster with your pistol. You just wanted to get in that position, start planting instantly, have that shield covering him as he does, a bit of a turtle kind idea. Shaiko was not having any of it. He was in the right position with the right gadget in the right time and instantly shut it down before it could even take any form of a push and rush coming through.
Yeah, it was tricky. I mean, it was the best possible operator to have to sort of know Uno reverse.
I do Uno reverse card on that rush.
And that's what it is. Shaiko was in the right place at the right time with the right pair of glasses. Saw through the smoke, saw through the blinds, which the Blitz couldn't at that point. You're just, as you said, Hail Marying. You're throwing yourself.
Gotta go for it as soon as you go for the hot breach. There's no stopping anymore.
Nope. And you can only really direct line your way through onto the site. But Team BDS, they are 1 round away from getting themselves towards a map point here. CYCLOPS, for the first time, they've drifted more than 1 round away from BDS. They've lost a bit of pace here, and they've got to see if they can try and thread 2 rounds in a row to keep themselves neck and neck and fighting for that very important first map.
Again, mentioning though, attack is where it starts to get difficult, and especially if you have one of those new players relatively inexperienced in Tier 1 on the board, because it's just a whole different kind of pressure. It's a whole different kind of game you're suddenly playing. Defense, you just hold your ground. You do what you prepared. The attack is, you need to be more lightly on your feet.
There it is. They're aware of this angle this time round, but BlackRay just suffers on the end of it. There was a bit of a pre-fire coming through. The grenade is going to see if it can get in underneath. Went very deep, but not quite rewarded. CYCLOPS are playing it with caution. Fair enough. They've realized that there's this sort of position. The hatch is open, so there's a chance of a rotate. They're sort of going to call it and watch it. They have the Ossa. They could try and maybe set up a shield and see if they can push from that side. Another grenade bounced. Another missed opportunity, unfortunately, as the break starts to come through across the top. The roll of the EMP and the pop of the exothermic will get that wall, and look at that, the swing towards the double window, get Shaiko a kill. Suzu C treat CYCLOPS to a bit of their own medicine.
I was going to say that window's getting opened up, the breach is being made, and what does Shaiko do? He just runs right at him, isn't afraid at all. He's taking those gunfights, and as you said, giving them a taste of their own medicine. And that CYCLOPS is a man down with 90 seconds left on the clock, and basically, again, no real control they can work with. Yes, they have a player inside of VIP, but that's not going to be helpful. You need to go further than that. You need to clear out the full top floor, then you need to fall down 1 floor lower towards the barbecue, and as you run into this deployable shield, well, it's going to be even harder to push through. Uday picking up a kill as well. Arcully off the board. That is going to be one of those operators that could deal with these pieces of utility. And it's now close around the corner. BlackRay is going to be joining him soon. It's going to be pure aggression coming out from BDS, slaughtering them.
Well, Anaton at least gets one, but you've always got to remember where the players are, what they've got, and what the site is. BDS have all the cards in their favor. The diffuser can get recollected, but they're still seeing if they can try and force a fight. At this point, BDS have dropped their way back around. They get one on the route through, and iGator has some control up here now, but the site is obviously below him. He doesn't have the diffuser. He's on the camera. He has 30 seconds. I mean, it's like wearing a damp coat. Nothing is comfortable. Nothing's going your way.
No, I don't think this round will turn around either. This might become a tactical timeout from the side of CYCLOPS to have that quick chat, because as you see it right above your screen, timeout requested by CYCLOPS. This is going to be one of those last opportunities for them to bring back this map. But you might be wondering, okay, like, but why now? Well, first of all, you would lose the map otherwise, potentially, but that also means you start losing points, because it is not just a full 3-point victory for a win in the series. It is 4 points for a 2-0 victory. It is 3 points for a 2-1 victory. That means if you lose 1-2, you still get that 1 point. That might be crucial in the end of it. And this tactical break they call, going to be 45 seconds long, needs to be changing this massively, because BDS has been playing them perfectly. And what can they do to change this? Well, that's the difficult question, because they lose the entries due to, well, either verticality or aggression being brought at them. And then you start thinking it's just basically BDS being better at CYCLOPS' game than CYCLOPS is themselves.
I think that's what we sort of came to expect. I don't want to be a doubter of CYCLOPS. I love watching them play, as I said, and this is it. But we have had the privilege of casting 2 tournament favorites.
Yep.
Today. We had W7M earlier on in the day. We've got BDS right now. And there's no two ways about it. They are favorites. You had the #1 seed and the most recent major winner in the form that, let's be honest, the best form I think BDS have ever been in.
It's weird, because when we talk about BDS, it's like, before they made the roster changes, always like, if not now, then when will they make the major? Then they fail to qualify, the change comes through, and instantly win the major afterwards. And now, like, okay, will this like turn into them winning an SI and winning more majors next year or other kinds of tournaments? But what it does look like right now, at least, is not a blitz pick, but of course could still be picked out. Glass coming through, Zofia, okay, they might be committing to this. On the side, they didn't initially meant for this to happen.
It's Anaton on a shield as well. It's worth pointing out, you know, if you're not used to CYCLOPS, Anaton is maybe the best Monty player in the whole world.
Which is probably why it was banned.
Which is why it's banned. You'll see it if you follow CYCLOPS throughout this tournament. You'll see Monty banned against them at a higher proportion than a lot of other teams. They're that good, and that's fair enough. But you still have to sort of have a plan B.
Seeing that, by the way, double frost mat set up underneath the window together with the serial laser gate. So if this is indeed going to be a push, well...
And a barbed wire.
Yeah, there's only going to be a couple of positions where they can go for this push, and it seems like a lot of them are currently eyeing up that window.
Oh, this could be tragic.
This could be even a quicker end to a push than it was in the last round.
There it is, the rolls, the break, the pressure here over the top. They're looking to try and get width that came through before. Obviously the Claymore's prepped under that. It sort of points an idea. There was a bit of a swing out last time. Last time they pushed as well. They didn't really put too much direct pressure here. If we recall, the Thatcher got caught out with the EMP mid-hand. Here, stacked up and ready to rock and roll. They're going to make sure that they get the full break of this wall. The play on it and the catch just around on the opposite side. They couldn't quite get the angle away from the mute jammer to make sure it come together, so instead that gets dropped. There it is, a mute jammer and a Claymore, not the most often seen thing. There's the hop over. It seems like there's some explosives done. All the Frostmats got caught in the blitz. They're deep inside the site and trying to plant in a very dangerous situation. They don't have the awareness, no. Anaton is able to get it locked and loaded, and suddenly BDS. Oh, there's a little bit of a red flag waving. How did that come through? And they at least get the player on the back end and one on the breach. But the timer now is very close to the wire. Black-Ray heavy hits and locks off one. They're digging their way back in. Likefak is on the kit right now, and they don't have the angle on the player. The response, you have to swing. You cannot swing. And BDS do not lose this, the first map, Skyscraper, is theirs.
And that's the issue with a plant like that. You need to make sure you're in a good position. And if you looked at where it was planted, there was basically no form of cover that could have stopped them from defusing it. Well done there by BDS. But before we break this down any further, let's head to a quick break before we're back with map number 2.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
welcome back here to map 2. We'll break down map 1 first of the series, and it was BDS versus CYCLOPS on Skyscraper. And in the end, it turned into a little bit of the BDS show. CYCLOPS had some good bite, but unfortunately, some of it turned into bark.
Yeah, we have to say, not a single attack won by CYCLOPS in the 4 rounds they played. They tried some Hail Mary rushes, but those didn't really work out, except for the single plant they managed to put on the board. But eventually that one was denied quickly as well. And that means they find themselves mapped out, and if they lose the next, which is going to be Border, that means 0 points for them and 4 for BDS.
Do you know what?
What do I know?
As far as I know, we've still only had one 3-map.
Yes, we did have only one 3-mapper.
So everybody's getting a clean 4. Clean 4s today. It probably will change as the time goes on, but here, as we see, it was scrappy. On the defense, CYCLOPS kept having responses. They sort of let themselves in. Their play was aggressive. They were popping up all over the place. And at first, BDS, I'm not going to say they were shaken by it, but you sort of have, you know, the sleep wiped out of your eyes by the activity, the gunfights. And then as soon as they started to find themselves a little bit more thread, they could pull the remaining rounds together. On their defense, BDS were just phenomenal. They were put together, they had the holds. CYCLOPS tried 2 rushes. One of them got the kit down, both of them failed. Yeah, it was sort of a BDS drive at the end of Skyscraper.
It's a good wake-up game for BDS, right? Because they came into it, you know, out of the first 3 rounds, they lost 2 of them. And after that, they were kind of aware of what CYCLOPS' game is. Like Skyscraper here, and were able to perfectly counter, only dropping a single more round after that. And we're headed over towards Border now, and you know, Skyscraper isn't really known to be the most aggressive map in the map pool. Coastline used to fall under that, but Coastline has been, of course, removed. I think if you ask any player or talent member right now, you would be like, which map plays the most aggressive? I think Border is definitely being mentioned quite a lot by them.
This is the thing. You can sort of see it here over the split. I mean, Shaiko with the +6. There's Brede as well up top. They have the experience to deliver. They have themselves set up on the stage. Nobody quite had the same shining effect from the side of CYCLOPS. There wasn't a stand-up performer in terms of guns that there sometimes is in their showdowns. It's still all to play for, obviously, for them. They can still try and pull out the win, get the majority of the points. But, as you said, Border is up next, and Border is a very aggressive home. It's paper thin. You sort of go from one corner of the map to the other in the blink of an eye, and a firefight seems to last pretty much every single room. It's going to turn into a bit of a bloodbath.
Yes, it will turn into a very big bloodbath here. And then you start thinking, all right, is this going to be favoring BDS, or is this going to be favoring CYCLOPS? Well, if we're just looking at the statistics here, out of the 15 times CYCLOPS has played it over the last year, this is including the Japanese league, by the way, they've won it 11 times. Some of the notable teams they have won it against would be Exet, would be Elevate, Reject, Talon, Direwolves, Invictus. Those are fellow Tier 1 teams. The rest has been the Japanese league teams they have been coming up against. If we're looking over at BDS, they played it a total of 3 times over the year, which isn't a lot, but it was often banned by their opponents 30 times out of the 42 bans we've seen. They've lost it once against Sonics, they've won it against Secret and what is now known as Wolves. But the thing is, if you look at BDS, you do think of Gunners being on the team.
Nowadays,
yes.
Don't get me wrong, they've always been Gunners, but the star that was always next to the team was that there was a star in every role on the team. They had, for some people's money, one of the best flank watchers in Renshiro. Ever since the beginning of the game, they've had one of the best planters and clutchers.
Brede,
they've got one of the best IGLs in the world, and the roles that Lems has played, and the sort of flexibility there. They have Shaiko. You are all familiar with Shaiko. And then they got Likefak, and suddenly they had this doubling up of a role. The sort of swap out there brought another big gun into the game, and it made them more malleable, which is something I love to see from them.
And that's the thing, and you know, we mentioned that, you know, Brede, he's one of the best supports in the world and the best flank watcher, but they as well, if they need to step up, they will step up. They'll take up that fragging role upon themselves, and that's what BDS makes. What makes BDS so scary, because often when we're, for example, looking at their cafe, and they cannot quite clear out the utility you need to on the top floor, They just snap their fingers, all 5 rush in, and win the round. Somehow they get away with it. And that's because there are all these amazing guns.
Well,
I think we're going to see a bit more of a
that's
push coming in.
That's a response to rush rounds that went away from them. I mean, Warden, he's in a fun situation right now where there's not really anything that directly counters his ability. The MPX with an extended barrel can be a heck of a gun. Valkyrie and Warden means that we're not going to see it in this showdown at all, both removed. But it removes that stop against the blinding plays of the Ying, the Candelas, and the smokes. Hey, who's that? Oh, that's Ying. They're already up there on the board.
I was going to say, like, them just removing that is going to show that we are going to be seeing more quick-paced rounds coming down from Cyclops.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not to be afraid of that.
But it's border. It's something that you give an idea of. As we said before, Monty, you just remove it against Cyclops. It's, you know, it's sort of known. It's how games get played, and fair enough.
Frost on the board as well is going to be stopping some of the window jump-ins from Cyclops. Maybe tucked around some of the corners as well to stop default plant positions. If they do go quick, that's often where you catch them off. But as the Ying gets 6 picked off to a Nomad, the Hibana turns into an Ace, and that slows it down a little bit more. Jumping to an Ossa, so no Heart Breach.
No. One of the things from the previous map it's worth noting, I walked through, saw a lovely talent in the green room, including self-proclaimed genius Demo, because all of his predictions...
I have to throw him under the bus for a second.
Well, let me finish my story.
Okay, you can do that first.
Self-proclaimed genius Demo, because all of his predictions come through, and he said, seeing BDS have the responses they did to Cyclops, the one factor that they're not used to, those rushes, he is now so confident in BDS taking this.
The thing is, though, when he was the guest analyst at the European League and APAC North, he made a bold statement saying that Cyclops was going to win the Invitational.
Yeah, he did.
But he now doesn't have faith in them anymore.
I mean,
BDS.
Hey, it's been a couple of months.
It's been a couple of months. I'm just saying.
Self-proclaimed genius. Talking of Black-Grey, they're looking to try and pinch this player underneath. It's Like Fak, and there's somebody on detention, somebody on, and then somebody's getting out of there. He's not going to sit around and see what happens if 3 Cyclops players decide to try and drive themselves through you, and fair enough. They get that clarity from underneath. Pop the grenade on the player to see if anybody's underneath the door, but there isn't. They now have the angle and the watch. They're hoping somebody tries to get a response, and, well, nobody has. Did you see that, though? They actually just ran out, baited the ping, and then went back in. They sort of tried to see if they can draw some attention from it, maybe keep them guessing a little bit longer. And Shiro, he's looking down the hatch. He's playing quite aggressive, but Cyclops have pulled themselves back in. They're sort of prodding. This is what we talk about, this map being paper thin. That's almost 3 engagements that we've already seen in entirely different rooms over the past 20 seconds.
Now, the complete bottom floor was under control by Cyclops, but I believe they've basically all fallen back. Blacker will still find the kill onto Like Fak, though, and then it's instantly trying to fight back through these hatches to find a second. His grenades are starting to follow up. It's actually an aggressive push down the metal stairs, which will find a kill. Alems takes that Anaton, instantly rotates back up, knowing there's still players below.
Look at this, Alems, he's trying to see if he can put the pressure back down. They've got some awareness and opening underneath them. It's dangerous territory, but the site is one they've got to push themselves up to. The shield gives them some swing. Shaiko gets the swing. Gator gets caught out, and the Ossa shield can only really watch. They have the kit, they have some idea, but without anything else really offering it, they've just got to try and drive for the pressure in the plant itself. There is a single player. Renshiro tucked on the other side of a soft. He's been playing this before. The impact swung. He thought the shield was deployed. The bait of the play, and Kully's going to keep pushing. Here's the Griswold. Go gets got. Bride gets caught. Suzu C gets one, and Suzu C! On the back end, Cyclops, from things starting to fall apart, pulls it together and pulls the first round.
Well done there, and a slight slip up there by BDS, going for that impact. That might have been the decisive factor, because suddenly Kully can take that side under control. He can find himself inside, cut off the rotation instantly, and you find yourselves in just a big disadvantage if you are the defenders at that point. So Cyclops take the first. They did that in the previous round as well. Those first 3 rounds, that is when BDS struggled. They needed to match the game of Cyclops as they went. So we're going to give them those 3 rounds. Let them see if there is anything different, if there's anything they need to get used to. As Grim being brought back, we are seeing the bees. Maybe.
I mean, we'll see it if it gets locked in. We'll see if it sort of pieces together. The swap of the Grim from the Nomad. Even. It's also partnered with a swap. There it is. Back to the Nomad, Ayagator. I was going to say it's partnered with the Dockerby from the Ace, so there is still a catch on loose players, but they're still going to set themselves up with the Nomad, because there's a caution paid. Look at left in the pockets of the Oryx. I was going to talk about this operator a little bit before. Think of how you think of Oryx on a coastline. If you're not really familiar with how this can work, it can be so quick and deadly. There's a lot of hatches. They're spread out around the four sort of corners of the map and spaces that you can dig your way up from. Well, 3 in this case, because one of them is just a big open space with 2 stories. It gives you a lot of routes. It gives you a lot of options, and it makes getting clarity over your roam clear tricky with an Oryx.
It definitely does, but they swapped off the Nomad as well, so they're really going to be reliant onto drones and the potential phone calls to come through, which the first already has been used. And not really any ground being gained here by the Cyclops members, except, of course, for the fact that there is a player currently inside of 90, just holding down the middle of the side, spots the Azami of Shaiko. That's the head taken up. That's the second one. No. The response from Lems is there.
Yeah, they're a very important fight to lean in, but look how much damage they've taken. Oh, look, they've taken a little bit more. Anderton and Arkley both removed either side, with EFAC getting one back of his own. Suddenly a 3 versus 2. Suzuki on the sandwich window sees the toesies, but doesn't quite get the rest of the player, as EFAC's able to pull himself a little bit further away. A C4 still in pocket, but look at how much time there is. The drone caught out, playing themselves above, gets rid of the mute jammer, but gets themselves the angle and the watch down on the split side. They've popped themselves in, and they're trying to look for the fight above inside the bathroom, hoping to get the rotate, but the positions of BDS are, well, both on the second story.
Yeah, they don't really have a safe way down either, because they're unaware of the positioning of these Cyclops players. So using any hatch most likely will result in your immediate death, as those are, well, probably going to be watched for at least players near them. As Suzuki is clearing it out, they're also figuring out that, okay, so this entire luggage area is clear, the tellers is clear. I think we can just straight up walk right into it. As he walked into the verticalities, the leak effect takes down Anaton. Suddenly it's a 2-on-2. Diffuser still down. Could be picked up in just a couple of seconds, but that forces Arcurley to take the gunfight himself as well. He's going to do that, but doesn't quite connect to the shots, and leak effect leans in again, finds the kill. And a 3-on-1 turn into a 2v1. Suzuki, the last man standing, and MK14 and Diffuser in pocket. 45 seconds to play with, but these Banshees are going to be giving away the game. What's he going to do? How's he going to be playing this out? Verticality in favor of BDS. If he walks through this door, that is going to be almost guaranteed death. Somehow still makes it through. Digs himself in deep. The Diffuser is going down. Are they aware? Definitely putting up some pressure. He rotates around, tries to find a second spot, but there's openings everywhere. There's verticalities everywhere. There's no safe spot for him to just hold F.
Oh, look at that. Renshiro just sort of leaning around, offering a bit of a spritz and a spray, and there's the rest of it. They never handed over the vertical ground, an important part of the play. It'll often seem, you know, people pull clutches by retaking it. At this point, they just sort of never gave it up. They said, if you want to try and take that fight, you can take it, but it doesn't mean you'll be very successful. Bathroom tellers. We'll head on to next, potentially. There's still time, and there's still options here. Hey, look at that. They're back. Ying and the Glaz. We haven't had it yet.
It's not been locked in yet.
It's not been locked in yet. Maybe they were waiting for a bathroom teller site.
Could be it. Could be what they're waiting for. I mean, if you start to think about it, right? If you manage to smoke that off and somehow stop anybody from using the wall inside a bathroom by taking ventilation under control, surely you could go for a bit of a quick push and instantly plan outside the window, but it's quite a dangerous move to go by. Fun fact, by the way, for the first time in 12 rounds, the opening kill did not result into the round conversion for this game. Cyclops managed to get the opening kill, but not the win as BDS took that round. So overall, it's been pretty much who gets that first kill takes that round. Shows you the importance of that first initial kill, that the aggression can pay off to you.
5 seconds left.
If we talk about verticalities, this is another important one. You sort of get yourself control here over the top of bathroom. You make sure you get a bit of a stretch. That, the aggression there at the top of the stair set, they're going to try and buy themselves some time. They have to rotate out the triple wall as well. BDS is sort of saying, well, we're not going to give you anything over directly above the site or even the outside of it too.
There's a lot of verticality on the fountain that they're creating into workshop, so really wanting to make sure that no free ground is being given away in the workshop towards the bathroom. Making sure they can start and continue to challenge that. Now, Suzuki is very close in the B window. Drones are here as well. Doesn't spot any PC utility that could give away his intended plan. He does have the diffuser. He does have smokes, but he's also the one that can look through these smokes.
Has the Gon 6. Nobody's going to get blinded by that, but the audio will give a bit of a game away. They're on the far opposite end. There's the smokes, there's the cover, there's nothing handed to him, so instead goes for another deeper smoke. There will be intel. There's play and spray that's coming from above. That's what's just done the damage to SuzuC. He's lost a little bit, and BDS still rock solid. SuzuC does find Efac, though, and it's the two remaining players over the top of the hatch just suffering a bit. That's behind you, CYCLOPS, unfortunately. That seemed to come from the far end. You can see the player off on the opposite end of Armory. That is the problem of opening up that much of that. So now they're going to see if they can get the watch over the top. They didn't fully commit to the plant and the push. Fair enough. They're able to get the first. They didn't quite get the lockdown on the second. Iagator at least drew some attention, but with SuzuC finally getting the end of CYCLOPS, they have a two-body advantage. Renshiro going hyper-aggressive, caught out by a drone, has to pull back.
SuzuC still on the side, by the way, with that diffuser. He's just not planting because it's not quite safe, and now decides to stick to it, but he's still afraid of the hatch to be used. But he needs to be afraid of something else because they're trying to retake the ground now. This keeper barrier is actually going to be providing them some safety, but it's going to be a double kill to come through. It is going to be a Thorn device, though, that stops one of them from moving in. BDS now needs to push close with that shotgun, stops that diffuser from getting planted, but a minute left on the clock in a 1v3. He is stuck in this position. He's stuck in the bathroom.
I mean, we talked about him being a clutch master. This is the hardest one he'll ever have to win, and he doesn't. Black-Grey had the lockdown from before CYCLOPS. They got an advantage, and they made sure they didn't suffer because of it. Okay, the kit planter got caught just at the very end of that before they could truly get it locked in. But the fact that they'd done all the other work to make sure they were in a position, it's not just a matter of getting the kit down. We saw that demonstrated better than anything in the last round of Skyscraper. Yeah. If you don't have the network, if you don't have the logistics to keep that player supported, to keep that diffuser protected, you may as well just throw the round in as much as you're throwing yourselves into the building.
I'm still kind of intrigued by the fact that, you know, you use that glass to cover through a smoke. That's the point of the glass. You can see through as one of the two operators that have the ability to. Warden being the other, currently banned. And then just jumping in that smoke as you're the only one that can actually look through, take so much damage. You're literally a bullet from every single gun away from death. Managed to find 2 kills, still survive in that bathroom, no one being there to stop you or tell you otherwise. And then, like, get the plan down, or try to, at least, in the last 30 seconds of that round. It's like that man survived on, like, 10 HP in the middle of the site for, like, 2 minutes straight. And that's an adaptation now. It's going to be Frostmat.
Yeah. It's a...
So Razor Bloom shell next to it.
The Razor Bloom actually did get a kill on the previous well. It wasn't the one on the window, but there was a Razor Bloom that got a kill elsewhere. I did enjoy the Azami to cover up the player on that window.
Just moved a bit too quickly.
Just moved a little bit too quickly behind it, and it, you know, it was a clever adaptation. They knew where the kit was going down. BDS had the awareness. They're quite good at getting that sharpness on the intel, but as I said before, the importance of friendship was shown off. The importance of ow is suffered on the wrong end of Alems there, caught in 90, but Renshiro does find Black-Grey as a bit of cover, as a bit of support, and Alems is able to actually slink away and escape.
Getting those entry kills are very important in this game so far. Opening made, CYCLOPS is looking to provide some returning fire to one of the attackers that's outside detention wall. Not going to be able to open that up, at least not now. They need to be using an extra Selma. That allows CYCLOPS to just hold on tight now as Iagator looking to snoop around, but using the window against them, or maybe even enter from the main entrance, see what he can do from there on. Looking to see if there's any goo mines down on the ground. Not the case. But if he passes, CYCLOPS should be able to just pick him up freely.
The roll of the drones, hoping to catch the loose player, gets caught out, and Arkali's going to just sort of keep himself propped up and ready for an engagement that might otherwise break across it. BDS still have a long stretch, and he just misses his moment. Looks to lean back into the fight onto Fountain, but pulls back, hoping not to get sprayed through the soft. They are still stacked up in that position. There's drones still coming from the side of Armory. This is a bit of a no man's land. If he can go unchecked, it's big. Doesn't go unchecked, but does get revenge, at least for the kill that goes against them. Did they just see the tip of a gun there on the little tuck? There it is, and there it isn't. CYCLOPS is able to get Arkali off the board. Minute 10. 4 versus 2, they found one body, but it was the one that was almost taken out pretty immediately, so the rest of BDS are still sitting kind of happy.
Oh, no, that's just a 2-round burst coming through the head of Anaton, leaving it only up to SuzuC with that diffuser. And where they managed to find themselves inside very early on the last time around is now up to him to try and make that 1v4 clutch happen. He just found the first, as you saw, Leak Effect taken off the board. But there's still a player on the east. There's still going to be a player near the offices, and then one roaming around as well. No one directly on the side, but they don't need to be. They have that verticality. And as soon as he gets too close to BDS, that's going to be a double swing coming through.
All of that's being yellow pinged as well. They've got an eye on him from somewhere, and they're making sure that it's put well together here. CCC pops himself back in, gets himself set up slightly elsewhere. It's a dangerous drive here. There's a fight over the top. You know that it's going to get swung on from somewhere else, and they have to rotate out. He's expecting it, but with 20 seconds, let's not give it to him. You can see the players got underneath. They know where the kit is. They know where it needs to go. It's not going to get there. 2 apiece.
Was such a Shygo move as well, by the way. When he gets shot in the back, he just turns around. He's like, okay, I'll take this fight. That's fine. I trust in myself. What do you say to me? Said it to my face again. Wow. I don't know what Gator is talking about, but he's very impressed.
He did get popped by the 2-shot.
Woo. Yeah, very true.
It's very different to some of the other old chats that we've had.
Yeah, for sure.
On the day-to-day.
For sure. Especially their pre-games are let's classify it as different. As we head towards the workshop and the ventilation, again the frost mats are being brought in, and this is just a direct counter to CYCLOPS' preferred playstyle, which is opening, Shift W, and maybe tap spacebar if you're next to a window. And they want to stop that. They want to stop it dead in their tracks, make sure they actually need to work for that entry, and make sure they need to think about where they want to be jumping in from. And of course, there is ways around it, don't get me wrong. Just a single grenade is going to be taking down that frost mat, but that is extra preparation, extra time, extra sound, which will give it away to BDS and allow them to get into a better area to deal with said situation. As for now, they're still roaming around. We see a bit of a heavy presence towards the CCTV area, but the Blitz is now finally on the board by Anaton. He's again putting a shield in his back. It's not something you often see from that Blitz. It might just be for extra movement speed as we go from the start, but...
+2 defense.
It's actually minus like 10 defense.
What?
Yeah. Suddenly you're no longer bulletproof if you phase an enemy.
Oh, that's true.
It's crazy.
You can reverse in.
You can reverse it, you just can't shoot back anymore.
This is the danger, though, because we've seen how vertical defines this site. We've seen how it defines the push. You know, sure, you might have been able to get yourself a little pocket, but it was shooting into the toes. The pop of the candelas over the top, the blinds at sandwich window, they're right in onto the site and they're right out. BDS has the lockdown on one, hopped up, the Blitz goes around, gets the drop onto the next. Anaton gets caught by a Lems from the far end. There's the Lems traded out. Arcully has one, catches the Banshee, gets caught in the face by Shygo. It has been blow for blow and trade for trade, and CYCLOPS have come off worse for wear. But Black Grey, well, he's able to at least put the balance back in. The one benefit to a rush, a lot of time. The downside, you now got to try and piece together the rest of what is left. And hey, remember when there was 2 players with the vertical control? Hey, remember when it was like Likefak and Renshiro? Hey, remember how that round ended? Oh yeah, it was in a BDS favor.
The Fuser also down into an area where they, I think, can easily hold it from up above if they want to. So it's going to be an even harder task to recover this. They have it, that verticality indeed. So it's going to be very tough to recover. A window jump in out of the question as well due to that frost mat being out there. And once Renshiro is holding tight, he's definitely going to be spotting out some feet there. Knows one is going to be on that main door. Holds his fire. Oh, the smoke grenade coming in. That's actually very big brain, is allowing them to potentially move in now.
Well, they're going to try and find an angle. It's Gator from range over the top of sandwich window. Black Grey just drives up the stairs. They covered and baited the movement and the motion. They're looking for this last player. It's a 2 versus 1, but it's Renshiro. And he's tucked himself by the hatch. 50 seconds is a lot of time for him to try and survive here in the 2 versus 1. And with the kick going down, Black Grey goes down too, but they heard that. They heard the drop. Oh, there's a lot of damage done. The Finker gets themselves a bit of health, but you can quickly see the movement to the top of the hatch. Gator, he's looking for the fight. He's going to hit the beepers and cause a bit of awareness, and Renshiro will hear that going. He might be a bit concerned. They're still holding off. They're making it a 2 versus 1. They're trying to force the fight. Black Grey's going to see if he can stick it this time. The reveal of the player, the tuck round on the back, the rotate, the spray. Oh, he gets the catch, Renshiro! Big brains and breaks away from the fight once again. Gator picks the kid up and goes to see if he can lock it down pretty much instantly. The movement is now going to be down to the opposite side, Renshiro. He doesn't have an impact, but he has a gun that can do a lot of sprays. However, he's only got 2 clips left in it, so he can't do that move too many times. On the far end, they're watching for the rotate. They're tucked behind the bomb chassis and round on a corner. He's forcing the fight to come from a specific angle, but it's going to come from the one door he's not currently watching. So Ayagator is able to get that locked in. The response from the last time it went away from them, this time they took the vertical fight.
Well done by Cyclops there again. That smoke forcing them to reposition just slightly. And even though the initial rush didn't work out at all, they managed to recover it. You mentioned it, a lot of time left on the board. You can start working your way in slowly. And as soon as you bring it back to equal numbers, it's a lot more doable. Especially if BDS still worried about a platform happening due to those smokes, trying to get themselves in better positions and being caught off as a result of it. And that puts us in the lead of Cyclops. Just a single round for now on their attack. I mean, they've definitely been doing better than they did in the last map. Of course, they will have to keep that up as the sides will change in just this next round, because Border is one of those maps that is actually attack-sided overall.
Over to Customs. For this, the last chance at a hold and the last chance to see if they can get this locked in. It's a little bit of a wiggle room site. It's not the most disliked, but it can be a bit awkward depending on how the teams like to approach it. And with Cyclops, you never really know how they're going to approach it. It seems like slower and steadier rather than some of their usual MO here. They've got a good break and breach. They should be able to get that detention wall open itself pretty easily. There's also a way of utilizing those thermite charges to get open the wall on the back end, regardless of what is put on it. It makes things a bit awkward there, as you see, in the eastern side of the site, because, well, you've suddenly got an entirely open can of worms.
Flores drone coming through, is just trying to find some crucial piece of utility, and that's going to be the bubble, the evil eye taken out. That is going to be oversight on the entire site gone now. Maestro only just finding out about what happened.
No,
no,
Mamma mia.
My bubble is gone. And now having to just provide overwatch himself. His detention is going to be opened up. Doesn't seem like there's any reply coming through. No opening made with the Bailiff, for example, to try and attempt a impact trick to go through. Of course, Shaka the only one carrying them and nowhere near the site.
This is where the problem comes through, though. Hey, what's that? Border? Where you need to have a vertical hold? Yeah, that's right. You find the same here on the site. That is why there's only really a single player underneath. You've got to get yourself locked in on CC. They have some angles and problems here, caused down from 90, and there it is. There's sometimes a shield at the far end. Instead, they have this tiered system of Aruni gates, but look at this. Inside the site, looking for the break-dancing Maestro, glances right over the top of him, but just heard the pop of the secondary, and there it is. Gets the first fight, looks for the second around the back end, caught by the camera, didn't quite get it locked in. The pings are coming through, and EFAC's going to see if he can try and get some response and revenge for Enshiro dropped inside the site, but it's Bride that gets Arcully in the meantime. Once again, we see this vertical turning into a bit of a problem because it's left a little bit untested. The pops through, the chance at finding Likefac isn't quite his yet.
It's a DMR against a DMR. This one is a highly powered scope compared to the other one. The head just missed there. The ping's coming through, and that's the kill for Likefac to still come in. He, well, took the ground after the initial strike came through on the, well, the teller's area. Managed to avert that crisis and put themselves in a 2-man advantage here.
Shaiko moved towards the fight in hope of somebody moving in close behind it, but it was really just to do this. Allow them in, see if they can get the kit planted, but a rotate's coming round. They have a lot of awareness. That's how the team functions. Got one, looks for the second fight, slips themselves round and just sees it, but caught out. Lems is alive, but very wounded, and with only 40 seconds, they're going to see if they can try and dig their way through. The castle wall is causing a couple of problems. They're going to maybe hit the hatch and get a Lems up. They still have the vertical control, though, and that's sort of the be-all and end-all. They don't even need to go for the player as of this moment in time. They know they're trying to dig and fight their way around. They know where the kid is. They've got that put down on the floor because of the hold above, so why give that up? Giving themselves more angles themselves, making things problematic. I mean, this is entirely how you try and hold this. Lessons to be learned. This is the power of having a second story.
It is, and with 7 seconds left, there's no way Suzu C is going to be locking this one off. Confirms that kill for the statistics. Pushes up with the last second, but gets taken down by Bride, and that brings us to an even half here. And we mentioned it before, Border is slightly attack favored. They probably would have liked to have 4 rounds here on Cyclops, because now they go over to the defense. And they're going to be up against the French powerhouse, the current reigning major champions. And if there's something we have seen over the course of the years, that if a team wins a giant tournament like a major or the Six Invitational, they drop off instantly afterwards. But BDS not really having shown that yet in their performance against CYCLOPS. Of course, it is still early days.
Protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
But it is a team that has been on the top for, well, the majority of the last 3 years. Never really having to win until Yunchiping, but, you know, that's crossed off now. That's a whole lot of pressure removed off their shoulders.
Getting a major was once upon a time impossible. Then it became very possible, you know? And then it became this sort of situation. They were always the group favorites. It's always the thing to remember here. As BDS, there was never really a shadow of a doubt that people expected them to come in. It's not like some of the other groups where there is some hit and miss moments. There's some chances for upset. With how BDS have been playing, they are the opposite of the underdog. They're the overdog.
Okay, yeah, the overdog. Or just the dog, yeah.
Dog?
I'm fine with that.
Is it dog and underdog, or is it overdog and underdog?
I don't think it's called overdog or dog.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, it's the overcat according to Easy.
Overcat, underdog.
Overcat.
You didn't say that to Maya, only to you.
I'm sorry, I'll relay it to you.
Thank you. The overcat. They're the overcat of this group, and they're ready to pounce. They're looking for a dig through. Nook. Just taking out that core camera, and it's in the pockets of, well, a surprise factor here. Likifak. He's had some bigger moments this game so far, and now he has the chance to try and finish this off and cement it. Shaiko still on the positive that he had before, but if they can start getting this as a twofer here, these grenades underneath, a good play towards that shield. The pressure does force the player out. There's nobody to get the lock-in on the kill, and they don't quite get the full damage they wanted.
Bit of damage done to Aegator, but not confirmed as he just walked by. Just waiting for the next ping to come through now. Likifak also waiting for the hatch, because a potential drop could always come through. Grenades coming up from above is definitely going to be moving out these players into different areas of the office. Might actually catch Bandit!
Oh!
And it's a good stuck on the desk right there, and that's the entry kill for BDS.
What a disaster there, played against them. They sure had an impression that players were playing on that wall, but getting grenaded out, it's just a cost that really isn't paid too often, because you expect that play. They had nothing to try and catch it, even with the Wamai in pocket. Of 2 grenades thrown, or 4 grenades thrown even, 2 of them came from the top here. Or maybe even 3, actually. There was 6 grenades at the start. Okay, maybe they just burnt through the Wamais and still found success. They find it. Arkali gets caught out. No more discs coming from them either way.
Arkali droned out there. He probably didn't know how close he was to be picking up a guaranteed kill as Alems goes down. Black Wraith will find him, and Aegator now on a bit of a flank. And Shaiko does confirm the kill. It's the East Stairs that is now back under control of CYCLOPS. Black Wraith in 90 as well, is looking to retake Fountain. Shaiko is still quite close. He might... Aegator?
Aegator, they're real.
Oh, no, wait. The wig?
Aegator! Oh! Diana's bright hair gets the cover. Bride's going to see if he can get the cover. The plant's there, and Shiro is all that is trying to buy him a pocket of life here. It's a 3 versus 1. Suzu C with the Alder burrs his way through one. And that was almost... that was almost a clip that would have hit highlight reels that I don't think they would have enjoyed.
See, sometimes we're saying, oh wow, that's incredible trigger discipline coming through. This was just not having seen the player standing still there. Shaiko, of course, bright white hair on a white wall.
It really was like a, wait a second.
Wait, did I just see someone there and then Shaiko just moved into a different area? Like,
if
no, I
Shaiko
didn't.
hadn't have moved and had just turned, Shaiko would have got a free kill there.
It would have, yes.
Iana, tough to see on walls.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Guess we need to nerf her by giving some hair dye or something
Or we'll
like
just
that.
give her a deep tan.
Or that.
Like a tanning booth.
Still, the hair though is it was the problem out there. Don't think you you fixed that with tanning, but
A hat.
a hat could work. Yes, no, surely.
It's
But like a beanie or something.
yeah,
It's cold out here.
cold weather in Montreal. If anyone is coming to Montreal for Final Days,
Yes.
pack warm. It's cold.
I mean, it's not minus 52 cold like it was before, but it's still definitely cold. Like, you don't want to underestimate it.
I forgot my hat. I got a hat.
You forgot your hat.
Yeah, I got a hat for Christmas. From a Canadian friend, ironically.
I'm actually going to say, like, you getting a hat for Christmas and then forgetting it is probably the most Emmy thing I've heard.
Yeah, that was a lovely hat.
Still have it. Just
Keeping my house warm. All right.
Important as well.
Hey, Ossa, what can you do here? See if you can try and break some control. We've seen a bit of Ossa play. I really enjoy seeing her on this map. I think with those sort of walkways, the gangplanks, there are some straight lines that sort of dig your way all the way across. This is one of them. Arcully, he wants to try and lean in on a fight, but he's quite isolated. Suddenly, a grenade is caught out. The first has gone, but they brought themselves a lot in the pockets before, and they have a lot in the pockets this time. A smoke goes as well, I'm assuming to burn any follow-up, but look at this, Arcully, he's trying to get himself a little bit of width, concerned of some of what might come behind him. Gator is still buying some attention on those east stairs, but they have a ping at least on this player, tucked in on the side of break. BlackRay gets one on a Lems, though, before he's actually able to slip his way back round.
Not the response that was needed from BDS there. They knew what the player was. They tried to set up for a double push, but the kill came through and not the response from BDS. And well, that's definitely going to be costing them. Proximity alarm is giving away the fact that the player is out there. See a pre-play C4 being prepared here, and Arcully is going to be given a call when to blow that up to Scissor C. Should be resulting in another kill to come through. He fell back into Fountain. He's really trying to make sure that they still have that top floor under control, or at least can fight to take it in control. Liquefact is going for some pre-fires, not really connecting to anything, and BDS not really having anything to work with here as of yet. Just a minute and 15 left on the clock.
Yeah, that's the danger here right now is border, as we said, it can be paper thin. You sometimes spend a while setting up, but it gives the players a lot of loose movement they can make. They've got eyes on the site. They've got to drive towards it. These armies done some rebuilding and restructuring, but with Ranchero suffering and getting picked apart by the impact, the Pokeball at the end of it, BDS's time is sort of getting slimmer and slimmer. He's going over the top to try and find a fight. Shaiko just takes a tear there with BlackRay getting a bit of revenge. French revenge. Bride gets a little bit more for the revenge, but they're still looking for this. The player inside, rebuilding, restructuring, the architect that is in the 2 versus 2. I've talked about the importance of that verticality so many times when it was in the pockets of BDS. Now they're going to see if they can try and drive against it, pull themselves back down without it against them.
Should be aware of the fact that Gator is inside the side. It is going to be the shield set up. That's definitely going to be the giveaway here to Gator. If they manage to find a scale, they could go for a plant, but it's Anaton over the shoulder that provides him the cover that is necessary. Liquefact now in a 1v2 situation with 7 seconds left on the clock. He's going to get taken down as well. Gator gets that final kill, and that is going to be CYCLOPS extending their lead to 3-5.
For the first time, CYCLOPS have threaded 2 rounds in a row across this and the previous map, and they've given themselves a bit of a distance here on the showdown. They've got some lock-in. BDS, they're aware of it. They don't want to find themselves sitting on map point. They want to try and break the momentum, make sure CYCLOPS' 2 doesn't turn into 3, because to be fair, it's close, but they keep just losing a little bit of intel, a little bit of an idea of how they've got themselves set up. That kill over the shoulder, it was a bit of a shoulder jiggle peek they gave the game, tucked themselves back in. They didn't expect the other player from the bathroom door to be watching all the way across the fight. So suddenly they've gone, no, we've given them not a freebie, but it should have been a little bit more of an anticipation of this extra player.
It should have been, but it wasn't there, unfortunately, for BDS. Right now, they need to get 2 rounds in a row to make sure they stay even with CYCLOPS. And as they're headed to ventilation and workshop first, verticality again going to be the name of the game here. Want to get that under control, otherwise the plan's probably just not going to be happening. But we'll see how they'll play it out, because what's been the issue so far is just CYCLOPS. Like, BDS clear part A of the map.
Yep.
Then they move on to part B of the map. And then CYCLOPS decides, you know what, it's time to retake part A again, which just has been cleared and now left by BDS. And suddenly they find themselves in the CYCLOPS sandwich, and it's just not working out for them. Not able to get those guns on the board or kills on the board. The CYCLOPS turns it back into their own favor, even though they just lost like the entry kill, for example, or they've lost a lot of important ground.
It's just a very dangerous thing about this sort of map, this sort of setup, is that you have the option for movement. You have the option for mobility. There's hatches, there's routes, there's rolls, and there's a lot of softs. You can really pinpoint these deep angles from cuts and corners that are uncomfortable to try and lean in on a firefight. It doesn't quite have, as I talked about, you know, weird architecture, weird structures, formulaic and jazz on Skyscraper. Border is heavy metal. everything is noisy, everything is aggressive, and everything is willing to turn into a fight at the drop of the hat. And they are a team that loves to express themselves across the two-story devastation that it is. They've got to catch on the drone. The Mozzie buying themselves some attention. That one is caught out as well. Now theirs to be used and utilized, but there's probably more pressing things, aka pressure over the side of CC.
As the enter kill, BDS have been looking for Gator off the board. That's the Capcan gone. I'm not quite sure how many of the EDDs have been set up, but could still reap back from his grave. That first initial kill is very important, especially in Gator. He's one of those more flexible players that just likes to move around, and not having to worry about him is just going to be an immense relief of pressure on BDS.
Bit of a moment here. BDS, they've taken their time out. What they talked about and what they structured might have been the structure of their approach. Able to take the first fight here, and Shaiko knocking on the door, maybe the second. Anaton sprays round. Here's the break of the wall. They've still got Blackray inside CC as well, but his attention is being paid towards break, and will they be able to pinch out Shaiko? Sprays through the soft and expects somebody to meet. Just the spray through the soft will buy them some time and attention, but it seems like BDS want to focus more on time itself. They're not giving so much as an approach here to Cyclops to take away from them.
Minute 20. BDS still trying to gain some extra ground. Blackray only just spotted out. Are they going to be trying or able to reply to that at least? Some pre-fires coming through the wall, and there it is. The pickup from Shaiko on the opposite side. That's what I needed to do before. That's that little collapse that we needed from them. CYC will respond on to Renshiro, but Leak Effect already knocking on the door of the actual site, opening up tons of barricades and doorways into the actual site. And if he manages to make it through with a kit, this might just be a planned attempt from BDS to come in.
That's it. Shaiko, you can see, is getting an angle above as well. CYC still pocketed and trying to find a pocket of safety here. They've got a couple of angles towards 90. They might try and isolate that player, or Leak might just do this. The pings on the one, drop down, rotate it, gets caught out. Anaton, he had a little bit of the blessed siege timing there. Is able to win out a fight in suddenly 30 seconds. So Shaiko has to pull away from the second story and push towards the site itself. He's round the back of a bandit. Arkuli's able to get one more. Alems, the pre-fire comes around, but Shaiko just wins it out, pushes them into a 2 versus 2. So let's see 4 on the board. The kit's still trying to dig its way towards the site. They've seen that there's a fight on the far end. They're going to take it and turn it into a 2 versus 1. The drop comes on the hatch, and they're able to get a Capcan, and there's Brede though! Just gets the cement through in the chaos.
Shaiko did his job there, right? I mean, he managed to pick up 3 of those kills, but as Gator died first and said he might be able to reap one from the grave later on, it's exactly what happened there, bringing it closer than they might have liked it to be. Also, Leak Effect potentially got a bit too aggressive out there. No real support to go for an instant trade if he would be to die on the actual site. Could have tossed it away, but BDS, they hold on for now, 4-5. Bring that round back, needing one more to make things even. And we're headed back up towards that top floor. This is where East was retaken by Cyclops, basically striking BDS in the back after they had so much control already, and we're looking strong to win that round. So, BDS, what are you going to do to change that? It seems like a line is being brought out. It seems like a Nomad is going to be on the board. Those 2 operators will definitely help you with stopping the movements of Cyclops, or at least make them less effective. But you're also going to be paying attention to Arkuli, who's playing on that pulse. Just a simple C4 could be the ender of dreams right here.
5 seconds.
Doubling up with the Frostmats, making sure there's no quick route through. But to be honest, what we saw before there from BDS was slow and steady wins the race. They have themselves a stretch. We saw grenades take care of some of the business from the top floor before, and well, with that potential, they've actually pulled away from anything to catch that directly. They might try and give themselves a little bit more width and expectation elsewhere. We have 4 of those in pocket. We also have the 2 pocket EMPs, which haven't really been too direct of a force here, but it seems like they want to direct their force straight towards the swing onto CC, the pop of the Lion, Blackray holding off behind the Azami, and there it is, straight through on the break. They're inside the site, they're looking for the fight itself, hot droned across the board, and well, Brede's going to see if he can plant it. The first fight goes either way, and well, Brede can get this still locked in on the far end, and with the echo off the board, nothing can stop it. A post plant, all within a breath, and now it's a 4 versus 2. Renshiro almost caught out on the approach background. Brede does get a very important pick on the site itself, and there's Renshiro, heavy hitting, but cannot quite slip the way away. They've just got to get the kit, and BDS tried to give them the Cyclops special, but unfortunately that is only brewed in Cyclops affiliated stores.
So this, counter defense should be coming in just momentarily. They have it. A final kill comes in. The pace was there. They found themselves through, but they weren't able to deal with the player in the small office quickly enough, and they just gave enough time to Cyclops to deal with the push that was coming through. Just enough time to get them in an instant reply area, position, timing. And now it's map point for Cyclops. They want to take a point at least, preferably 3 from BDS. But that all starts with this next round. Bathroom Towers. If they manage to win this one, they will be pushing us to a map 3, and with that, we'll be making sure that they at least take a point home from this game. Put themselves on the scoreboard. Allow themselves to stay in a fight for a top 4 position. Because that's all that matters in the group here. If you end up 5th, you're out. And of course, have to say it, first has a different kind of seeding, second and third have a different seeding, so does 4th. But making it out of groups is the most important part first and foremost. And every point counts for that.
Every single one. It's
maybe every round.
Every fight matters. Every kill. Every
bullet fired.
5 seconds left.
Every breath you take.
Every step you take.
I'll be watching you.
Yeah.
You may think we missed a line there, but actually, Easy, our observer, piped in down our ears to get.
Oh, did he? I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah, it did it to me now because I'm playing. Yeah, Easy was helping us sing that song now. Anyway.
So nice of him.
Cyclops, can you take this? It is their map. They're pushing themselves closer and closer to a potential third. I think it would be the third map series in a day. The final one is Oregon against BDS. Isn't easy. Doubling up the claymores. The first one hides the second. You can get a big pop and reveal with the play around, hoping to get the catch on a bit of a swift movement. The distance there, Nook drawing some attention towards themselves, and look at this pace though, Ranchero. Ooh, that one won't quite pop off. The mute jammer just on the other side. We'll keep that sitting pretty for now.
As soon as that mute jammer gets destroyed though, that's when that drone blows up. So as an attacker, you have to be a little bit careful there if you remove that utility. Make sure no one is quite close. Anyway, the tension has been opened up. BDS still trying to approach from the eastern top side rather. Taking offers under control seems to be their, well, main priority here. And castle barricades definitely do help, provide them with some freedom. But just afraid of the fact that someone could be using the break room balcony to fire back at them.
Look at that, the Flores drone rolled through just as the player was going for a swing. Give Shaiko a little bit more awareness of this, the pressure. They have the upside down rappel. They got sprays through every single bit of soft, and they want to bounce grenades over the top. The Nook,
what a timing,
just comes around the corner, and Hyagator didn't quite get the full slip and see of that. It's a fight on the window and a drop grenade. Anaton, he's trying to hold on for dear life. Hyagator's taking it, and Blackray gets one more over the top of the rafters with the Lems. Finally stemming and stopping some of the blood that's otherwise popping across the board inside the waiting room, but he is only waiting for death. If he sits steady for now, he's got to try and recuperate, rebuild with Breed and see what they have ahead of them. A minute and a spray through a couple more soft. We talk about how dangerous this map can be, how sort of tricky it is to go for this fight, and they're going to make sure they don't get caught the same way they did before on the door.
Moving through, knowing someone is going to be inside the customs, but as Lems is taking some ground, he finds himself near the site. Opening will be made with the RC Rotero. Is going to be at least putting up a bit of extra pressure, an extra way in for the attackers to utilize. Still on the 2-on-4, 40 seconds left on the clock, and Cyclops, they're doing what they need to do. Nothing, just sitting still, waiting for BDS to make the move.
Well, this is the one thing, they're holding it without the verticality. For the importance, I talked about it before, they open up the castle and make things a little bit more dangerous here for the players trying to make an approach. That is a very clever bit of use of utility. It makes BDS suddenly have no safety in approaching the wall itself. The one thing that they do have is a man advantage, and they're making sure that it's tricky for them to dig their way through. Brede sees the first fight, takes it, doesn't see the second, and we will see the third. Cyclops, they look out their map, they take a guaranteed point from BDS. Can they take more?
That point is going to be the most important thing. Both of them have a single point now, looking to find the other two to be gained in this game. And with that said, Cyclops, they fought back here in Border. They showed why they like to play this map. And they're here to fight. They're here to stay. They're here to get out of groups. And Oregon will decide.
I mean, that's it. It's Oregon. It's everything that you sort of want. And, well, we'll be into it soon. first, a quick break.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Oh, hello.
This is how spooky
How you doing?
it is for us casting. But it's spooky because of the atmosphere that we have.
Yeah.
You can see it on the faces of the players here. BDS are the favorites of the group. CYCLOPS expected to be second. CYCLOPS might just shake the tree. See what French apples can fall out. Delicious. But in French. Or in Japanese. I know neither language.
Delicious, maybe? I don't know.
Ooh.
Something like that.
I'm assuming that's the French.
Yes, that wasn't the Japanese.
As far
I was
as
trying to attempt there. But
As far as I know, you don't know Japanese.
as far as I do know, I do not know either. But we just had the second map to come through, and it was quite a close one actually in terms of the first half, because that one wasn't even split. Just afterwards, CYCLOPS was kind of able to take the reins in, just like BDS was able to take the reins in that first map, as they managed to close it off with a 4-7 eventually, just losing a single round on their defense against BDS. And that's an odd sight to see.
Oregon, though, I mean, it handles differently. You know, it's got its own sort of shape to it. It's got its own structure and sturdiness. Of the three that we've seen, it's the most familiar, I think it's fair enough to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes called Oregon, because you sort of know how it's going to play out. Now, BDS, they can be a great team on it. There's talk of how they were once one of the best teams on it. I think they've pulled a little bit further away from that. The game itself has shifted a bit, but we've had a shifted BDS recently.
We definitely had, but that doesn't mean that right now their Oregon is going to be suddenly like very shaky, I think. I think they're going to be just fine. It's just that they need to be able to deal with CYCLOPS and their movements early on. But I think a map like Oregon actually leans into that just a little bit more. I mean, if you think about it, it's just a couple of staircases really that are part of the main attack anyway.
Yeah, it can be a sturdy map, but you know, Oregon is built like a steakhouse, but it handles like a bistro. It is in some ways pacey and quick, but it's a sturdy building. It's a lot of brick and mortar. It's a lot of swings. You'll see standard setup, standard takes. This is obviously the border that we just had before. In comparison to the Oregon, and border is the opposite. Border is quick, swift, and aggressive. We finally get some positive players across the board here for both teams, actually. And to be honest, this is one of the things that we expected and hoped. It was never going to be an easy blind side on the guns. It's the team player BDS that you would assume would take them over the line. We are going to, I would say, a more generically team play driven map next.
Yeah, so like it's not quite like Clubhouse, but I think it leans closer to Clubhouse than it does to Border in the way it plays.
Yeah.
There's still the step-by-step plan you can follow for a lot of the basic attacks, and if there's anything BDS are fully aware of, it's the basics on how to play Siege. And they play it really well. So CYCLOPS, they need to make sure that they're going to be bringing their best game, be as disruptive as they can to make sure that BDS is not going to be finding themselves with any success throughout the remainder of this map. And as they're slowly starting to get ready, CYCLOPS is doing the last little bit of, you know, team talk going through. A bit quiet on the side of BDS. Just getting focused, getting in that zone. It's important as well.
I'm in a very fun environment with SI. I always am. I love SI. I love Siege.
So do I.
Which is why we're here.
Yes.
After however many years.
Very true.
But the golden rule of SI and the golden rule of big tournaments is there'll always be new viewers. It's a great time for new viewers to get in.
Yes.
Get into the scene. And this, for me, is a really good setup of two teams explaining the differences on maps, because they have similarities as anything does within a meta, but the approaches that they build, they're not the opposite ends of a spectrum, but the parts of the spectrum that they build on, they're usually some of the best at it. The aggression, the coordination from CYCLOPS. I'm wondering if we'll see another Warden ban come through, limit the play. It wasn't entirely played against. Last time, they didn't really do as much of the blinds. Now they won't do any. Ying is removed. This is it. The responses to each other is sort of that sign of respect of, you are the best at this style of push. You are fantastic at this style of push and this style of hold. How do we limit you in this engagement? Monty.
For sure. The Monty is open, but if you start thinking about the map, it's not really the map that leads itself to the best of Monty's abilities, right? Of course, there's definitely still uses you can get out of it, but often when you see a shield, it's a blitz that's rushing down blue. And And I won't put it behind Cyclops from actually doing that in 1 or 2 rounds. They are going to be on the attack. So we might actually do see that happen. And, you know, maybe we even do see the Monty coming out every single round from Anaton to make a statement that if you do not ban Monty, you're kind of throwing against us. Either way, we're getting underway with the last map of this matchup here. 2 more points to be given away. Both these teams currently have a 1 on the board. Let's see who's going to be taking that home. Now, BDS starts off on the defense. They are going to the basement first. That is all basically default. There's no true weird question about that. As we look at the picks.
There isn't. No, we go down to
there is a Monty for now, but
there is a Monty for now. I mean, this is the thing about Anaton, and I hope we truly get an explanation because, you know, if Siege is an aspect of 2 things. There's 2 big circles with Siege. One of them is the practice, the prep, the preparation, the conversation. The other one is how you play on the day. And the intersection is the result that you get. Us picking up Anaton and why so many teams ban Monty, sometimes Monty doesn't quite hit the mark anyway, regardless of whose hand it's in.
The overlay is saying that there's no drones left, but I refuse to believe that because I see one jumping around.
Yeah, the overlay sometimes deceives you.
Yeah, it has been deceiving us here.
Oh, there we go, 3 of 5.
There we go. Okay, so only 2.
We just had to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's, I don't know, something to do with the friendly fire not being active because all of the gadgets were gone as well.
Yeah, it could be.
Who knows? What we do know is Likefak set himself up in shower corridor, waiting for an approach here, and this is what you'll often see, a bit of an aggressive lead in, but also just draw attention. You can waste a lot of time. You can run a bit of a route. We talk about how there are similarities to Clubhouse. This side has started to get a bit of a reputation for having a top floor hold. Not a hold truly per se, but mobile utility is a big part of the current game, and our Cully cuts it in half. Gets the take, gets the lock-in. There's a couple of mute jammers either side, but he's hoping to see if he can roll straight into a second engagement. The hatch drop could come through above him. He's waiting for the pressure. There's a bit of a drive down onto Zulu. The corridor right at the bottom of White Stairs, and Likefak's trying to see if he can dig himself a route out. But look, there is also a watch coming through on the far end. Anaton, he's holed up. He's waiting for any route the player takes. Renshiro can't really offer too much support. Digs his way out. There's pings on the player and the rappel that comes up, so they just grismod it off and Gooman and hope. But what an early strike here for Cyclops.
Yeah, for sure, and you lose security, and that means that the players up top certainly don't have the support anymore. They need to fall back into secondary positions. That's exactly what Likefak is doing. But also the players below certainly cannot really rely on that being a stronghold anymore. So truly we have one isolated player right now to the rest of the BDS hold. And it's up to Likefak to see whether or not he can make it back. But as flashbangs come through, Likefak is going to be known. Anaton aware of the area, or at least position that he's in. But Likefak goes for the swing, finds the kill, and instantly digs into Armory.
What else can he do? No impact to open a rotation next to him, but 2 barricades in his pocket if he really wants to bunker down. He's trying to draw attention. I guess there's more than one way to make an omelette. That one doesn't quite land the mark. It goes a bit wide. It's a bit of damage done. The pull of the pin out of his pocket. The hatch doesn't get opened by a grenade. He was almost gifted a lifeline incidentally there, but look at the structure on that door. That's a man that's done a little bit of DIY and enough to build a bit of an angle. Takes a lot of damage. In the meantime, Arcully gets his second as Shaiko gets 1 off the board. There's 3 for Arcully, and he finally gets down. Blackray gets 1 in exchange, and Shaiko, he is all that is left here. Needs to find 2 more for his 4K. The slow creep round to the back of the Habana. Blackray needs to try and find someone to support, and you can see Shaiko, he's tucked up there, trying to piece together where he is. They don't really have too much of an idea, so Suzuki is just going to sit and wait patiently for Blackray's call here. The flash comes round underneath. Blackray has the lockdown, and Cyclops, for the 3rd map in a row, get the opening round.
Well done there by Cyclops to convert that round in the end. BDS, they made it quite close to some extent. And Shaiko, he did do the right thing. You know, he was trying to listen for a bit of a sound cue so he could act upon it, but it was a bit too slow. Gave time for the player to come towards the back stairs and again have that little bit of a pinch maneuver that we have been talking about time and time again that will just shut you down. BDS going for another laundry one though. They are running it back just to make sure that, well, what happened there earlier on, that is going to be the main driving force to rerun this, because that's an early kill that basically throws off the entire hole that you might have been able to pull up, and that's all gone. The entire round is basically null and void in terms of having your strategy tested. And that's why they rerun it. They want to make sure that it actually works. They know it works, but they just need to be a little bit more careful on that middle floor.
Monty baited and swapped out for the second time in a row. They start there, and then they move on to something slightly different. We also have, obviously, the quick zip possibility here. It can be a good drive towards top floor players. We can have those, but we're not going to have them at the start. Pretty much all of the BDS players have got themselves set up for strategy B, which is, all right, let's give them the top 2 floors. It's a very valid way of holding it. Hey, remember when I talked about Clubhouse having the adaptation of going to the top floors many times ago? Well, there's a quick fight that almost nets them. The catch, Likefak is somehow slipping away there. There was one body that was offered to them. But as once upon a time, Church and Arsenal was held on the bottom, this site can be done in exactly the same manner for just as much success.
He just escaped with his life like 3 times in 5 seconds there. He should have been dead at that point. It's just that the lack of information. Cyclops wasn't ready for a player being out there. They thought it was going to be clear, and that's why they lost it eventually. Breach coming through though, opening up the hatch that will lead into
drone, run!
Yeah, don't stay close.
Get out of there!
Anderton is pinging, though, what needs to be opened up. So he's eyes yelling from the Twitch drone here. Tell him, okay, you need to open up this, you need to open up this.
Yeah, it's like a little teeny tiny Anderton in there that's just sort of leading the fight. Cully was able to get a big opening 3-piece. Gator.
He fell off.
He fell off.
Yeah.
You can see he's going to be struggling. Oh, no! Oh, maybe. Cully gets one. There was a second player that seemed to swing around. They didn't go all the way through. They were seconds away from saving them. At least they got a trade. Renshiro gone. The Jaeger. Well, it's not the worst one to lose in this situation. They do still have the control and what needs to be played later on in the round. The pop through and the stretch, and well, there's an angle to get that hatch open and force the Freezer players to play in trickier situations across the border server, but still, that's not really how you want Gator to be removed from a round.
No, not really. Just slipping accidentally and being being picked up as a result.
Yeah, Cyclops.
Fortunately, though, Garahook not that effective on the bottom floor. It's good to take some quick ground, but that's going to be about it. Same goes for Renshiro. You place your utility, you're gone. A Shaiko finds our Curly somehow thinking to be inside already.
Yeah, fantastic take there from Shaiko, playing a spot that is named after him, ready to swing and rock and roll from either side. He doesn't have the support of Pillar as of this, and look at the drop. But as soon as he's stuck, he's looking for a fight to come around, pre-fires the knees and the angle. There's nowhere he can really go, so they open those skills up. Gets the spray on Likefak in the meantime, luckily across the board. Shaiko pushes, cannot handle the recoil. It just whiffs over the head of the player. It's not the easiest, and now Black Ray slips his way past the shield. Shaiko still doing damage and has the kit at his feet. And has the last taken out. One apiece. Hey, Cyclops, they always get the first round. Hey, BDS, they always got the second throughout this series right back.
BDS responding as well, rerunning laundry there, realizing a slight mistake cost them the round very early on in that in that round, wanting to basically improve on that. And even though we did have a bit of a slip up from Aegater on the hammer route, it does happen every now and then. Probably wanted to land on the beam, but you know, just missed it. Just missed the mark.
Attackers need to locate
and all the way down the stairs got picked up for it. At least the trade still came out of it. So, you know, Cyclops in the end didn't really lose too much with that slip up.
It's a new
new tactic.
New banana peel operator.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that what the drone in the teaser was?
Okay, whoop.
Throws down banana peels.
Oh yeah, there was.
Everybody thinks it's like
so funny. I would love that. It would. So obviously, there's been a recent trailer, a teaser for what will come as an announcement of the newest team to join the ever-growing story and repositioning of our wonderful operators throughout this game. There was a drone in that. There was a drone in that you might not notice, realize and recognize, but it's there.
It's definitely there, so if you haven't seen it, you should, after this game, take another look at the trailer.
Yeah. It's actually quite blatant. You probably did notice it.
Yeah, if you...
It's full frame.
If you haven't noticed, you probably alt-tab whilst in ranked instead of being on your drone.
Yeah. It's very obvious, but we'll hopefully get a little bit more of that. Probably. later on. For now, look at this, a fight over the top. They have the pings on the player, the blinds on the Lems. He's going to see if he can swing somewhere. It's a lot of noise. They're tucked low, and they almost win it out. Iagator late to get the lock in. Anaton does find Ranchiro at the same time. Arcully is looking for a fight against Shaiko on the far end, but that is an explosive bout of control here onto Tower. At the bottom of it, EFAC, he's looking up wantingly towards a fight that might come, but with the drone out, with the man advantage, and with the danger that's otherwise coming across, there is a slip through there. Catch on the mute jammer, and they got to pull themselves back round. Shaiko gets a bit of width, pre-fires across the board. See if he can get some pressure, and EFAC as a loose danger. What can he do?
But to at least find one of the roaming Cyclops players, otherwise come back towards the site, defend it with his life. Cyclops, they're not slowing down. Already having one round on the board, now 2-man advantage on the third one that we're playing. I know whilst we had the little break, I went over towards the analyst desk and Jacob said, you're witnessing Anaton winning the Six Invitational. So
Jacob said that.
Yeah, Jacob said that. Jacob is now convinced that Cyclops is going to be winning the Six Invitational.
Is that a curse?
It could just as well be as Shaiko goes down.
Yeah, Shaiko got caught by the curse, but Likefak has the cover and has himself caught as well. Bride, all that's left now is the two others get cleaned up. A 4 versus 1. He is a man, he's a myth, he's a legend, he's a danger. And he's able to get the first fight there at the top of white, but he has a minute to see if he can survive the rest. Just blinded and has to pull his way off the watch towards trophy. He's still sort of jiggle peeking the dangerous door here, and with everything else otherwise stacked in front of him, will they rotate their way around? They do still have pocket utility. And are we about to see a bit of it roll out? The C4 towards the top of white does not get a bite, but they're going to go for the plant. They have the cover. They have the round. Cyclops, they're second. They're one up.
Yeah, the quick run from the thermite came in as Bride was too busy tossing out that nitro cell towards the white stairs. And I get why he did that, because he didn't really have any of the information. If he was able to find the kill, he knew it was going to be clear. If he didn't, he also knows it's clear and can suddenly focus on the other two areas, being pit, being the trophy door. But it was just too late, and as a result, they sneaked through. They already had the cover up and running, and there was nothing he could do. And Cyclops, they find themselves in another lead. And BDS, sorry, I was about to say BDS, but that's not correctly true as of yet, are continuing their tradition of returning to the site they have just lost, as they're going for the top floor again, realizing there's something they can do to improve on it, maybe going for an alternate hold here to find themselves in set position where they are able to get that advantage earlier on. Because Cyclops, they have been on point so far. They have been able to hunt down any lone players from BDS, and even if they aren't, they've been able to just cut down the players on the side itself as well. So BDS truly should be worried about the way Oregon is currently going.
It's early doors. Every single map so far has been a bit of a back and forth between the two teams. In fact, this is absolutely mirrored of all of the previous two maps as well. Depending on how this round goes, could be the break from tradition. BDS have traditionally got themselves back to a 2-2 across both, regardless of how the map ended up going. So here, Cyclops, they can drive themselves just one more ahead here, back onto the double down of Dorms. It could be a slightly different story. They proved a lesson learned before, though, BDS. This one might be a different tactic. The pressure from small tower rather than big, no quick play, and who's that in the pocket of a Lems? Man, that's good at stopping smokes, but that's not really what's going to be played here. Instead, 6 frag grenades are going to start trying to cook up a problem in kitchen.
Oh, the Lems gets the first away, Gator shut down, and it's going to be 2 of those grenades off the board instantly. Another 2 already used, meaning there's only 1 in Arcully and 1 in Black Ray's pocket left, and where they probably wanted to go for some fishing down below to see if they could find an opening, suddenly it's turned into something more dire. But Anaton, luckily, is going to be allowed to play the Montaigne. One issue he has, though, is that there's someone behind the bunk beds on his left and there's someone playing on the corner on his right, so doesn't really have a clear-cut way through. His impacts are being tossed his way to see if they can deal just a small amount of damage.
Anaton, he's got himself prepped up and locked at the top of white stairs. He's just going to play problem child for now. Draw their focus, draw them in. There's smoke canisters to be used against him, but there's a lot of explosives to come through first. They know that he can't really dig himself in properly and confidently. He can get a couple of steps, but from that, you've still got to do more. He's baiting a fight and attention, and there's the first smoke canister, bounces off the shield, but the radius still does the job it needs to. Arcully looking for the fight on the back of the bed, sees the shoulder. They don't have to fully extend, but when you know that grenades might follow up, there's one bounced off the wall, does a lot of damage, not quite enough, but it allows BlackRay to move up behind them. Anaton, the next smoke canister pops off, a minute left, and there's still one in the pocket, the shield. He sees one at the bottom of Zulu, gets the block onto the Nitro, but it gets BlackRay behind him, and a bit of a devastating blow there. The call and the damage just enough to get it on the back of the shield.
Still going well for Cyclops this round. BDS definitely looking to bounce back. Anaton now on 10 HP, well, probably even less. Let's give it like 1, make it 0. It's going to be only up to Arcully now in a 1v5 situation. An ace clutch within 35 seconds is what he needs to put on the board if he wants to win this round, but what will most likely become a tactical timeout of sorts. No, not even that. A flawless round for BDS as he jumps in from the white window. It's going to be allowing BDS to just fight back.
Still the exact same scoreline we've had in the first 2 maps. It's actually the next round where things started to differ. In Skyscraper, where BDS took it, they took the 2 in a row. In Border, where it was Kags, they took the next back. So, as weird as it is, this could turn into a telling round. It's also the first time we've had this sort of doubling down of sites as well. And we go back to Laundry. 1 apiece, 1 win each. Which face will we see from both teams, to be fair? They keep pulling out their A strat and their B strat. We're seeing different holes, different lockdowns, and different extensions. There was the second time round almost the early take against EFAC. Would that have changed the phase? Maybe not. Shaiko popped off and they had 4 players alive by the time the round ended, I believe. So they were still quite comfortable, but still, those early moments can shape a little bit more.
It definitely could. As we head back to Laundry, we'll find out whether or not it does. BDS, I'm looking to see if they're going for any different kind of take than they did in the 2 rounds before, but doesn't seem to be the case. This time, Liquefact going up a bit quicker. There was no Amaro on the board, so nothing to really be afraid of. Scams are being checked just to try and figure out where the main attack is going to be coming from, but quickly all those default cams that side should be shot by Cyclops. And the early RC is coming in from blue and barrels, looking to see if there's any utility he can find. There's a shield there, but Brede was paying attention. Takes it out, makes sure that that shield stays at least, and now Shaiko is ready to challenge barrels as well.
Yeah, 2 shields, 2 cross angles, attacking blue against BDS is deadly. It's not in any sense easy. It's nothing that can be pieced together here. They're going to see if they can, I guess, get some grab. EFAC suffers against Anaton, though. Pulls himself back around Freezer. They pushed hard, got a quick take, and then pulled themselves back. Renshiro almost gets caught out as well. BlackRay playing against the Jaeger. The angle doesn't quite work in their favor here, and well, there's a first take, but first takes can not always lead to the success. They've still got to see if they can try and get some of the rested control across the map and the site itself. They're cautious, which is a growth that's come from this Cyclops throughout the showdown with BDS, where they can't entirely trust what is ahead of them.
Minute 45. Shaiko waiting behind his shield. Renshiro on the back stairs, just putting up some pressure. Cyclops still desperately looking to find an entrance. Now, some scars are going to be popping off. It's going to be dividing some of the attention that BDS has, but nothing really to be worried about as of yet. Of course, the entry kill that is on Cyclops' hand is going to be quite helpful, but they will need more than that. And within the next 80 seconds as well, because they will start to, well, have to start to push, but they don't really have any control horizontally, and that means they will start dropping down these hatches, and every time that happens, they just get shut down by a player in barrel, so they need to shut that down quickly.
What are they piecing together, Cyclops? Well, Shaiko is piecing together Arcully's head, pulls himself back against the E-Box and takes one for the trouble, and then rotates back to his favored position with the shield still intact. The Flores, it's able to at least get 1 shield there, force the player to a slightly different situation, but to be fair, he still often plays it without that shield there. Anyway, Gator, he's trying to drive some attention, but with 45 seconds, there's only so long that you can do this. Flashed by his own petard and Alems. Well, he's able to hoist the rest of the round. BlackRay tucks himself, goes for the replacement position here. There's the player that can swing round from the corridor itself. There is a bit of wiggle room and motion. They have either side. SuZuC takes the drop onto Moto and is able to take one right inside. The kit, well, there's the swing. There's the little tuck corner that gets rid of them. Shaiko still locked in. A 3 versus 1 now, as he has just dominating that position. Black-Grey seen there by the Bulletproof on the far end, and Alems sees that through. 3-2, BDS tie 2 rounds in a row and take the lead.
Well done there by BDS, and that means they now are in control of the match again as well. And you mentioned it before, like the place, or at least the door towards the blue area is called Shaiko. It's called Shaiko for a reason.
Yeah.
He plays it with such confidence, with such comfort is probably what's most important. It's just almost impossible to make him feel any discomfort there. I think you really need to try with bringing incendiary bolts, with bringing flashbangs, with just truly wasting everything that's out there. But then you still have BDS on the other side, that's near elbow, that will shut down anybody that tries to make a run for him. So he's just in a good spot there, and there's not much they can do against it. But maybe open up the hatch and then try and open up the E-box a bit more to make sure he cannot play there. And that's something that CYCLOPS hasn't done in that last round.
Okay, CYCLOPS, can you pull yourself back to an even half here and see if you can try and keep this level? Oregon does work well for both attack and defense. It can be a very malleable map. It's why you see it so gosh dang much, especially in the season of best of ones that we have in our seasonal tournaments. It allows teams to be able to structure good plays on both. It can feed different play styles well as well. You can see that, you know, it's sort of naturally reined both teams in towards a slightly more direct route. EFAC has himself stretched and with a little bit of a pixel swing there, hoping to catch somebody loose, but nothing comes through. And the longer he sits in shower corridor, the more likely he is to get himself washed.
Just sending out a wild stray as well. You never know if you hit someone whilst moving away. Something that was discussed earlier as well. If you can go for a wallbang, you have enough ammo and they know where you are, why not just attempt it? You might just find yourself with a kill. Either way, Arcully inside of trophies, looking to go quickly over this top floor with a bit of support. There is someone close onto the arcade though.
A very quick barricade from the Kiba knife there gets them locked in and locked out. They tried to swing themselves straight through onto the fight, and EFAC is doing everything to buy them time. Pulls back, and that has been very, very well played there by the recent French addition to the roster. Cut. Kag's approach, cut them off. French Hero does get caught by Anderton on the far end, but the route that they wanted to try and drive through does get locked off. So they've had to slow themselves a little bit here and come up with a plan B. Shaiko, he's watching down from the side in the swing of Split there, not really paying too much attention towards the push onto Meeting as of this moment, which is obviously the chance of Meeting or Kitchen. Usually, if they're going for the control over the top, it sort of heralds the idea and waves the flag for a plant down inside Kitchen. Alems suffering next as the lead-in, gives a bit of an idea here, as does the pressure around Seating. They're going to see if they can drive open the top, force BDS and Shaiko out of their positions with the Lem still in pit, and Arcully, well, actually no, he's dropped out. Arcully has the control there.
Top floor has been abandoned as well, completely by BDS now, so the remaining members all onto that first floor. Likafak has been thrown out though, and that means he's not going to be able to make the run for security or prevent some, well, support towards BDS as well, because he's currently finding himself in probably the most precarious situation. There's going to be a player in dining, there's going to be a player close around the showers corridor as well, and they're coming up from above, so truly he's going to be the next to be taking some form of gunfight, well, at some point rather than sooner than later.
Here it is, BDS with the swing round, gets Black-Grey, but Anderton is able to keep that thread alive. Puts the pressure back onto them as Alems. He's looking for somewhere to try and hot foot it to and try and put some hot feet back into the fire against them. BDS, he's now tucked into the split side, swings onto Zulu, cannot quite get the catch. They're watching from the hatch, but Alems gets Anderton and makes things a little bit more dangerous with 30 seconds left for the approach here. Ayagator, though, finds BDS, leaves just Alems tucked on the corner, tucked on the corridor, tucked all around him, and tucked in 3 apiece.
Well done there by CYCLOPS to just remain calm, try and play for that plant, having the cover ready over Meeting. But I mentioned it before, BDS was playing inside that kitchen, they were all collapsing around him. They were coming in from dining, they were coming in from above, they were coming in from the showers corridor. It was just a moment of, well, a matter of time before they finally fell. And now it is a 3-3 and a site swap coming through. CYCLOPS now on the defense. And again, we see the Solace coming out, at least for now. An operator that has seen quite a lot of play so far during the Six Invitational, also has netted some kills, has been netting quite a lot of information coming through as well, so far, very solid operator on this playground.
Talking of solid,
Solids, yeah.
We haven't seen too much Solace in this showdown, which is
Not in the showdown, no.
No, and I'm not going to say it's an overall abnormality. We haven't had all the games of the day. We've only really been able to watch, you know, as many as we can watch, because there's ones that are going on whilst we're casting. But Solace has been pretty prevalent in the showdowns that we've been able to keep our eyes on. Apart from this one comparatively, okay, you know, she's a new addition, she's a new operator, she can do what she can do, and that's that. Control those drones, control the intel, make things a bit awkward, and the P90, as proven throughout the day, has been a heck of a gun in the right hands.
Now, Arcula just took down the drone of Alems, who was ready to ascend the tower quickly, and he still is. Just waiting for the confirmation to come through from his teammates, but Solace still out there. Arcula near the attic. Is going to be able to respond. Here's the rappel in. Sees the player, takes him down as well. CYCLOPS. What I do not understand is they take down the initial drone, still get the kill, like, because they rappel in. It seems like a slight oversight on BDS's side.
EFAC holding off close and waiting for somebody to try and make a bit of a presence here. It's the Nook that is laying in wait and bait. We talked about this on the previous maps. Is it's sort of the game that they learned about CYCLOPS was, well, CYCLOPS like to sort of swing themselves round. Tucked on a corner, ready to put some aggression in, is how it sort of swings its way in, and they give themselves just a little bit more of a modicum of control. Now, EFAC, what can you do if you're actually trying to put the pressure onto the site? They're on a cam. They have no idea. EFAC slipped themselves in so close, and they've done it absolutely silently. If this has gone uncontested, oh, it hasn't. Suzu C just got wind of it, and Shaiko gets the head of Anaton, trying to break the way across the position that he held them off for such a long period of time. The super aggressive swing of TK goes down. Blackray picks up the pieces. A disaster has struck on the back end, and now Shiro has to try and piece his way through what actually could have been a great BDS response.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that did not really go BDS's way in this round. Let's start it off with Alem's drone being taken down and then still rappelling in, being taken out quickly by Arcula, who's been out there. After that, we have Likafak, who found himself close to the side, but was afraid someone was actually pushing in from the back, and then got punished for it as soon as he looked over. And after that, we have Shaiko trying to put something back on the board. He will find one. He's about to go for his second kills. He's being pre-fired by someone with an SMG. He's about to run out. And then the team kill happens. And then the instant reply to Brita happens. And now Rancher is sitting here like, yeah, I guess we'll just talk. 40 more seconds to discuss. Because he's not going to be making a move for a round win here. He's just waiting because the last map didn't really go their way. This map has been quite contested by CYCLOPS as well. This round, sloppy mistakes being made by BDS. Those are things they need to be cleaning up if they go on to the next one. As 18 seconds pass, it is going to be some pre-fires coming through. They seem to be aware on the side. Oh, CYCLOPS, the first kill comes through for Inshiro. Tries to go for a second one, but time's about to be running out. And that means CYCLOPS is going to be retaking that lead here in round 7, putting themselves up 4-3 on the scoreboard.
4-3, and, well, you can see the good spirits there. BDS, it also slows things down. One of the best times to try and slow things down is after a TK on a rush round and a break onto a corner that could have otherwise gone round. It was a down in the engagement, and I think that down might have come from Shaiko.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we're going to see it on the replay. First of all, I don't get this part. Just drone in. Likafak, just unfortunate timing. Shaiko going for the pre-fire. Indeed, the down did come through on the player out there. Just that TK was decisive in that matter.
So slow it down. Take your time, give yourself that 40 seconds and go, look, it's still back and forth. You know, we know that that's a silly mistake and we're not going to make it again.
And they do know. I mean, they're a championship winning team, so they're going to be fully aware of what's going wrong and what they need to do to change it. That's probably why they took those 40 seconds at the last round they played, because I mean, it's a 1v4, and of course, incredible gunners on the side of BDS, but if you need those 40 seconds to talk, it might be better to do that instead, rather than call your tactical timeout, because now they still have it in their hands. If this goes to overtime, they still have that tactical timeout to call to get a potential 3 points out of this game.
All right, CYCLOPS, 2 rounds in a row. Now we'll see if you can try and be that difference maker. It's actually the first time of these two teams hitting heads in the showdown that both teams have been able to tie at least 2 rounds in a row. It's either one or the other, and that one has been the one that wins the game. So we have a bit of a tail on and maybe a little bit more give left in this game itself. Once again, back on the Nook, back on the ability to pull themselves into this tricky situation. Black Ray trying to find a fight on his way out the door as Jaeger, but instead pulls a little bit further and further away. Gives them something to think about, but BDS isn't going to sit around and think too long.
Likafak is using the ghillie headgear here to become a bush.
He is a bush.
He is a bush now.
Likafak.
Just waiting, hoping for a rotation to come through. But our Curly is sensing it.
It's quite funny.
Go for it. Can we actually see this?
Da, da, da.
Kind of a bush.
Kind of a bush.
Yeah. It's moving out now, though.
That's the bush.
Been made.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, how long can you be a bush for?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, time is still ticking down, right? And then time is not in your favor as a bush.
No.
No.
If there's one thing we know about plants, it takes a while.
Definitely takes a while.
But what do we know about Efak? He's not going to sit around. He's going to try and find a fight itself. Shaiko throwing some grenades up here on the corner, the pocket, and the twist. The Zulu does a lot of damage to Black Ray, but unfortunately does not quite get the full bite of the player. Hey, who's that to your left? Do you know? Oh, do they know? Our Cully is tucked so dangerously close. But two ships drift apart in the night. And the grenade of Efak is going to be there to allow LMs to break their way in.
Yo, canisters blowing up. Again, same happens. Our not finding.
Just keep going past each other, and Shiro does get a grenade kill there onto Ayagator. Arkali, when will you strike? Because the iron is getting, well, hotter and hotter. Shaiko, he's able to get one with a grenade as well, potentially up through the breach that they had before. They're going around on the corner. Oh,
no.
Just mistimes the spray. There's the reveal. They will call some support from White as well. You can see there's a player on the bottom, gets the down and gets out of there, pulls themselves back round. And Shaiko gets the lock down. They did not need to keep the swing on. Suzu C suffers in his position, stopping the push from the top of White. Anaton goes to offer some support. Shaiko is still on an absolute tear. There's the drop. There's the continuation. But Shaiko has the full stop for the sentence for a piece.
Well done by BDS there, even though we had some close moments with Arkale just missing out on a player twice or maybe even 3 times there. BDS managed to keep up the pace there and well, allow themselves to continue moving up and start taking the ground around the side and more importantly the bodies around the side without being punished for it. Almost Arkale, of course, coming in with that flank, found one, not the second.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
And now BDS equalizing that scoreline again. As the meeting and kitchen is the next site Cyclops want to defend. They're not doubling down like BDS did when they lost the site for the first time. But deciding it is time to move on. Hopefully for them to better things. As they are looking to pick up a victory here against the current reigning major champion.
Back to kitchen and meeting. And, well, if you wonder why this is often the site that teams will go for this, it's probably going to be something that we get demonstrated maybe by the take here of BDS, who do enjoy taking this. Stage becomes the big fight, the battleground, because otherwise it's quite easy to get control of small tower, get yourself the plant in. The difference is the verticality. You need to have a bit of verticality in your control, or at least some pressure on it, to get the plant off successfully here. There's backlines, there's fights, and CAG have got themselves aggressive, but that is why teams opt for this side rather than the kitchen meeting or the kitchen seating area, because of that vertical control. And, as I said, often you'll see BDS quite good at putting the pressure back onto it.
And BDS are by no means out of it, and the top floor is already being approached here by Likafak, opening up into games. And if he's not being challenged enough by Cyclops, he's going to be taking that ground more than graciously. He's going to be just pushing in, trying to find any living thing out there and just put out of his misery quickly enough so that BDS is actually going to be able to find themselves with a big advantage early on in the round.
Slips their way back behind the mirror window and gets it electrified to give themselves a little bit more safety and make sure those Selmas can't just pop open the wall. We hear a bit of damage and destruction done elsewhere. Bride, they're going to step themselves in, ping the wall, and sort of say the players are behind it. Shaiko with a grenade is on an absolutely monstrous series. 15-4 on this map, and he's trying to match the pace some of the players have put down before. Black Ray, he's going to get out of there. He feels the winds are turning, and it's a dangerous one. Zygator is tucked just on the side of split. Pings come through. Shaiko gets one more. And now as the fight goes against them, LMs with the lockdown, suddenly it's just Arkali left. Has to Try and ace clutch this out. Looks for the first fight. Knows it's a little bit more isolated. There it is. And there's the second. Gets rid of CYCLOPS on the back end, but there's still a minute 20, and they know where the player is. They're trying to find them from the verticality, and Arkali's going to just slip on by as he hears the drone roll out. There's 2 above, 1 swinging around on the far end, watching the flank drone, though. Just tucked onto the side of Shower. There it is. So they know where the player last was. They've got the break open. They get the catch. And BDS find themselves up once again, 5-4.
CYCLOPS refusing to lose this game so far. He's really putting up the numbers right now, making sure that BDS is known for one of their tournament favorite positions and are looking to make it that way as well. A tactical timeout will be called. CYCLOPS decided it is time to have that chat that BDS was able to have earlier on when they were losing a round massively. And as that means they have 45 seconds, in the meantime 30 left, to discuss tactics, to discuss what they can do to stop BDS in their tracks, and to make sure that they are the ones to take the 3 points home.
I mean, both these teams know the importance of the points right now. They know that this is a really dangerous game because it sets your pace your first day. It sort of drives what is ahead of you. It drives the attention that can otherwise be paid towards the opposing teams as well. If you suddenly go from 1 foot ahead to paddling your way back, I mean, it's a difference that stems especially. Now, I can't tell you the result of the other game from this group.
Yep.
I don't want to spoil anything as well, but depending on how it goes, there could already be a team that is guaranteed ahead of either of these two teams based on the point system.
It could be, yeah, and of course it's not the end of the world considering, you know, there's 5 group stage days, you play 4 games over those 5 days.
Yeah.
So you can still, you know, beat them and catch up to them. But it's never nice to not be first after a very hard-fought victory, which would be the case for either of these two.
The CYCLOPS difference is pretty apparent in this game.
It is pretty apparent on this map indeed. And I was just going to mention it, you know, kill record for a single map is currently like 27. It's not out of reach. It's unlikely it will happen because, you know, we only have 3 rounds of regulation left.
Yeah, and he would have to get 11 kills to equal it over
yeah,
3
to
rounds.
equal it and then get another one. You know, but maybe if we go overtime and he keeps his current ways.
If we go overtime, maybe. Otherwise, he has to get 2 aces.
Yeah, and then an extra kill after.
And an extra kill.
So that's what I was saying. It's like it's probably not going to be happening, but just to put in perspective on the amount of work he's putting in now right now.
If they can get CYCLOPS off the board early, well, doesn't seem like likely. He's putting pressure instantly towards Blackgrave. He's just going to tuck himself a little bit further away. Look at the drone game. They have the full awareness. They're not sort of letting themselves be caught by CYCLOPS' width game. Ranchira has the pings. EFAC has the attention paid onto Shower. They have the Jackal scans as well if they want to try and lay them down. The drone is likely still watching the rotation. There's only one route out of here, so they'll know exactly when Blackrave's gone. But you also still need to get rid of him as well. You have to put the pressure onto the player, whether you try and bounce a grenade around or not. Well, there's the reveal that the player has slipped away. You know, there's nowhere else they can go.
Not really, no. And CYCLOPS going for a chase. He escapes with his life as the C4 popped off like a meter away from him. And that Jackal scan is also going to be confirming that indeed there is no one going to be left on that middle floor anymore. At least the drone is going to be there to double check it, because it's always better to get a second opinion than to just blindly trust whatever result you might have had. And that means BDS now seems to have the first and second floor both completely under control with 100 seconds left on the board. If it wasn't for Arkali just sitting up in the tower, in the big tower, waiting patiently, having to use or having the ability to use his ability to stop any drones from droning him out.
Oh, hiya, Gator. Can't get the lock in, but the smoke will do the rest of the business and confirm the kill. Clever play, pulls himself back. Alems goes on the far end as well. They've lost a bit of tower control now. Arkali's able to get one off, and we talk about the importance of CYCLOPS. Well, now it's the importance of the remaining 3 to see if they can try and bite back where CYCLOPS been able to be so monumental throughout this map as of this point. A minute on. All of them have pulled themselves back down towards the side itself. No more aggressive swing rounds, and the risks on Freezer, at least for now. Arkali is tucked into CYCLOPS itself, and you can see BDS is stacking themselves up for the approach on the opposite side. It's often easier, especially if you haven't really done any of the work around barrels and getting them forced out. Freezer falls, and a mirror window gets popped up. That's rotten timing, and well, EFAC pre-fires the angle. He was almost a couple of steps from being in a much more dangerous situation there, but at least can rebuild on the back end and might try and call for a bit of support from Brede.
Yeah, they can, of course, shoot it out with those X-Gyros, but there's going to be players around in that freezer hallway that can instantly take it off. So nothing really that they will worry about on the Cyclops side. It's going to be a lot of utility being tossed in. They know someone is stuck behind a bomb chassis. Grenade gets tossed in, should guarantee a kill. It does as well. Brings it back to a 2-on-3. Still in favor of Cyclops, but it's getting closer.
There it is, the spray over the side. Iagator finds EFAC on the box, and Renshiro hops himself up a little bit. It's the other side of the mirror window. They've used it as a bit of a spray through. It's Renshiro's, but in a 2 versus 1, Cyclops bring themselves back level, 5 apiece. After the tack timeout, both teams have now found instant success. Only one of them can get themselves over the line.
And who's going to be the first that reaches the magical 6 mark? That is proving that you have a map point, and in this case, even a match point under your belts.
5 seconds remaining.
Whoever wins 2 in the next 2 takes home the full, well, not the full 3 points anymore, but just the 3 points. If both take 1, we are headed to overtime on this final map to decide who is going to be worthy of those 3 points. But so far, both these teams, and I mean, you mentioned it before, both these teams are expected to be making it out of the groups. But they're truly making it a game right here between themselves to show and to fight who's going to be the better one of the 2. And Cyclops, they're hanging on better than I might have expected when the game started. Truly showing, and I'm just going to name someone. Arculi is fitting into the roster quite well. 10 on 7. The man is currently going, a new pickup of Cyclops, who hadn't really had the experience of any Tier 1 games before this started, before this game took off. Now it's 2 maps and a little bit under his belt.
Oh, will they be rewarded for their hubris or punished? They pull back. If we talk about how dangerous positions can be, that is often playing for their death, and somehow Iagator has been able to slip away. Okay, how does this side differ? I talked about it in brief, and usually it's control a small tower, but what makes this a bit riskier is the dependence on that sort of wiggle room that they don't really have. It's tough to bite your way back in, especially if you're going for an aggressive lead in here. Iagator is going to have to try and play his life. They're not going to see if they can waste time on small tower. They think they can try and pull the fight elsewhere. There's drones aplenty here for Iagator to take care of. They're spraying through the far end of the angles. The Azami's structuring something somewhere, but as the wall gets opened, as it always would on the approach here, how are Cyclops going to see if they can stop it?
Yeah, nothing really there to stop that wall from being opened up, and even if they did, verticality would have been taking that one out quickly. As you see Sludge, you see the breaching charges being used, so that wall's always going to be opened up. It's just a matter of how quickly it would be. Iagator escapes a grenade right there, but he's aware of the fact that someone is still around the yellow school bus. As long as he doesn't get droned out, he might actually be able to get away with a kill here.
They're sending drones of their own. The Echo swings round. They're right close on the door. Pops and pulls back. The yellow school bus is now dangerous again. Alems, he had the call that he needs to watch for this rotation, and now they're playing their life. Catches the Echo drone, is concerned about a run out on the far end. At the same time, they're trying to offer some support, but Shaiko's inside the site. He's going around the back end, gets an easy freebie, and he looks for the second on the stairs. There's almost 3, but Suzuki is able to catch at least 1. Suddenly, though, Alems with a lot of damage, gets 1 on the back, puts them into a 4 versus 2. Anaton has a minute to see if he can try and hold off on one side, caught out on a drone. Suzuki still on the back end of showers. They're trying to offer something to holster their way back through, but BDS aren't throwing themselves at this and suffering the consequences. No, no, no. They have experience, they have the man advantage, they still have drones and intel utility, and they're going to make sure that they can punish Cyclops on the opposite end of it. The swing round, the catch on most of Anaton. There's a little bit more, but he's slinks to survive. Suzuki with a C4 catches EFAC as well. They're still trying to find the fight. Anaton takes even more damage from the long-range distance. 30 seconds have gone, and there is 1 more for Anaton. Renshiro caught out and sat down inside the seating area. Suzuki still tucked on the shield, even with the back of Shaiko breaking and ballasting his way into the site itself. They're popped with a shotgun, ready to rock and roll. 15 seconds. They're hopped round close. Suzuki, do you know how close they are? He's about to be revealed in the grander scheme of things. There's the ping. There's Bride with the pre-fire. It is just Anaton left. Looking for the first fight, looking for the cover. They know where the player is. They're pre-firing. Anaton gets the round!
What a clutch to come through, and that is going to be map and match point for Cyclops. That really came down to the wire. He finally found that headshot just moments away from that diffuser going down on the ground. And not enough time for BDS to instantly reply. They thought the showers was clear after they killed the first. But there was a second. CYCLOPS, 1 round away from picking up 3 points against BDS, leaving them with only 1. And it seems like the bedrooms is where they want to do it. The top floor is where they want to lock it off. Now they've lost it once before against BDS, but it is doable. Just need to hold on a little bit tighter.
Edgiest seat siege here in BDS. I mean, they have 1 round to see if they can try and pull this into overtime. I don't know if it's our first overtime of the day, but it's definitely a game that you wanted the full test of. Even with Shaiko getting into the core of the site, getting a 2K, Lem's getting 1 at the same time. The 2 versus 4 clutch by CYCLOPS.
Yeah, mostly Anaton as well, just
doing the business.
1 HP doesn't care at all. Just takes the fight.
Ran past the soft and got shot through it like 4 times.
Oh, that's a bit too high, I think. Oh no, that wasn't okay. It was meant to happen. I was just gonna say, if we wanted to win now, it's a bit too high. But it's not attempting to go for that this time. Instantly wants to put a pressure onto the kids' room.
Oh, look at this, yeah, quick pressure round. They're trying to isolate the player inside Trophy and cut them off. The Wamai disc buys Zygator a second, but doesn't keep his shield safe. The drones. Oh, you're just going to impact that, fair enough. He knows it's a bit of utility that BDS have been very good with, and Shaiko, he is determined to get into the site as quickly as possible, and that little drone is saying, whenever you're ready, mate, I'm ready to try and swing around with the cover here too. Look at that. Straight into the fray, straight into the fight. Just sees the tail end of a player, and he knows he wants to double dip and swing his way back round into that engagement, but is concerned about the catch over the top of Pit.
Yeah, the Nitro was pulled earlier on. It's not going to be catching anybody, at least though. Stalled out some time for Shaiko to go back, not to continue pushing on as he did before. His impacts are being prepared. I think they want to go and grab the exothermic if it was going to be put up. So I have a player down below as well. Brede looking to find an opening to actually go for this opening. There it is. Attempt it now. But as I mentioned, the Orc still down below could just open up some verticality here.
Alems is watching. As I said before, the drone game has been very good, and they might get him if he goes a bit loose, but otherwise, with all the softs and all the attention, they're watching out the door, and Shiro. Ayagator does get Shaiko back, and Bride's trying to find a fight close. They pushed into the little walk-in closet. Where can you go from here? Not really very far. The flash comes, the Echo drone, they're pulling themselves back in for the support. Alems wanted to make a little bit of a surprise entrance, but caught on the camera and having to punch his way through. They don't really get the big bang at the end of it. The pop of the Echo drone, Black Ray taking a huge shoulder of damage. Ayagator does get himself out of walk-in closet and tucked round, but he's still itching for the fight and gets it. Renshiro gets caught out on the back end. They're flashed again, but Suzu C wins the one across the Bauer Trophy. The top of Armory Stairs falls at 4 versus 2. We saw the reverse of this the last time round. Now we might see if BDS can push it their own way. They're dead in, looking for the locked-in heat. Damage to the Mozzie. Suzu C suffers and gets dropped by Bride. Likefak finds one of his own. Brings us back to the 2 versus 2 control around Pit. The last is at the back of the site. Anaton, the man of the moment of the previous round, might find himself having to do the same with Suzu C suffering the damage. Whether they have the drones or not at this point, it's all just down to what is in front of you with the guns. Bride has the lock. Likefak might have the key. They're looking to see if they can root their way through, and CYCLOPS aren't giving them anything but here. The cover, the drop, Suzu C with the wide swing, Bride with a deep dive into the site, looks for the first fight, can't find it, cannot find the second, and we see CYCLOPS felling the French giants and suddenly positioning themselves in a very good place in this group.
Look how much it means to them. They just explode into happiness there. They want to beat the major champion. They did beat the reigning major champion. And now they are looking to find themselves a way out of this group. It's only day one, it's still early days, but they got those 3 points that they might have not have gotten otherwise. All I can say to CYCLOPS is very well done, because that pickup you've made on our cooling, sublime.
I mean, it was a rookie day for Arculi. It was also the first SI played by Likefak, and a tough one here for BDS to take at the end of it. They're a team that will grow into a tournament, they often do. And obviously there's still so much Siege to be played ahead of us, but a statement has been made here by CYCLOPS, the APAC team. They knew that they were going to be CYCLOPS fighting, and they made sure that BDS were aware of it as well, almost all the way to the brink, almost to an OT there at the end, but they can hold themselves high that they have taken one of the toughest teams from this tournament, and BDS, they're going to have to take themselves back to a little bit of a drawing board and reapproach it, because hey, regardless of how things go, if you find yourselves in a final against CYCLOPS, you still got to learn some lessons.
Well, they still have the opportunity to learn those lessons. And BDS, of course, they know themselves as well that there is plenty to improve on. And it's by no means the end of the group yet. This was considered potentially one of the toughest games they would receive in their group. Now, they didn't come out victorious, but they did manage to pick up a point, and you never know if that point in the end might be the difference between a first or a second, or maybe even a fourth or a fifth place.
Well, what can you say after a day of SI? But SI is magical. You never really know who is going to beat who, and it's always that sort of swing round of the engagements that we get between these teams across the board and how things shape up. There's always got to be an upset, and CYCLOPS are often a team that delivers that upset.
I'm just happy Demo isn't going flawless on his predictions so far, because he has been talking about them. But without further ado, before any of this game is being broken down any further, we are headed to a quick break, but make sure to stay around.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
I rarely like to give Demo credit for anything, but he did say BDS would be a little bit nervous, and when you're on top, you got all of it to lose. And this just happened. You predicted this.
Oh, no.
You did this. This is your fault.
No.
No. Okay, explain.
It's shocking performance today. It is shocking performance from BDS. I'm not impressed. It's not the team that I expect to say. I think if any team was going to give them a blip, it would be CAG. But did I think that was going to happen? No, I did not. And I don't know where to begin with BDS today. That's who I know. As much as credit is for CAG, you always have to look at the bigger team. You always have to. That's the team that always is going to get the criticism if they don't play the expectations. And yeah, we're going to be very heavy in BDS today, Ollie.
I think he was trolling a little bit, and it actually happened, Ollie. Like, most people thought this would be a 2-mapper for BDS. I'm in shock. I truly am. Ollie, how are you processing this? What emotions are you feeling? Because he has no words, I have no words right now.
I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to be maybe a little bit disappointed in BDS. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be losing channel points potentially over this one. BDS were pitted as the favourites. There's no two ways about it. We knew what we were going to get with BDS. November major winners coming in what we assume to be good form. And then the stumbling block, the rock in the road has been CAG. That unpredictability that we talked about, they've obviously made the change in bringing Arcully in. You still know what you're going to get with CAG, and it's something that I wrote in my notes as a weakness for CAG, is that they are, whilst they are unpredictable in their play style and how sort of explosive they can be, there are some trends that you can follow. Shields, you know that they're going to try to play a couple of pocket plays, and there's things that you can do to sort of mitigate that, and we saw BDS giving it a go, but it wasn't enough, and I'm really surprised, especially with that last map being Oregon. Personally, I think BDS just lost a lot of steam there.
Let's bring up the last map summary here. Honestly, Demo just kept on turning to you, and I was like, 3-3, 3-4, and it just kept on happening. Like, I'm honestly still in shock. I know I keep on saying that, but what fell apart for BDS? Explain that last map for me.
I mean, I think BDS, it's a real big red flag for me right off the get-go.
Red flag?
They're turning,
by the way, that's my nickname
they're
here.
turning back into the BDS of old, which is all it is, one-man team. The only person doing something for me today was Shaiko. That was it. Everyone else was really scared. I don't see the same tenacity that we get to see from EFAC, where he's straight in if he sees an opportunity, he's right in the midst of it. It's the old BDS that we've seen 6 months ago, and we don't want to see that again. They were very stuck in their ways. If something didn't work, they were rigid. They were flat on their feet. No movement, no shuffle. I think CAG, I think they were able to see that weakness. I think one swing here or there, just they stuck it to BDS, I think, in the way that they should have, which is just attack, attack, attack. Don't give them any room to breathe. Don't give them any room to set up the attacks. I mean, I will say, I think BDS, they were ready for the majority of the attacking rounds, I think, coming out from CAG, but the attacks for BDS, they were just... They weren't there. They were not there today. Obviously, you can look back at Skyscraper. Good performance. I thought, yeah, BDS should walk this group. I'm really worried about BDS. I know people can say it's the first day. BDS, get that first win is crucial, especially whenever you think about this team. And this is a team who wants to challenge for the hammer, to do a back-to-back championship. It's not good enough for where they want to be right now. And I would start to think, you know, we still have to go through the NA teams as well. We still have to go for a Brazilian side. APAC is the teams that you should be beating, but they're not.
Ollie, I want to get your perspective here. We are rolling highlights right now. Maybe we can reflect back on map 2 and map 1 a little bit as well. But what happened to BDS? Do you think that this was nerves, or were they not able to adapt to the chaotic play style of CAG? Talk to me here.
I think the BDS played a great Skyscraper, and we were expecting that from them. We were expecting a really good, solid Skyscraper. 3 rounds on the attack, everything was looking rosy, clean sweep on the defense. It was Border where things really started to fall apart, Jackie. That was one of their bigger problems. The map bans were a little bit strange on Border. We sort of lent quite heavily into a very attacker-sided Border, given that Border can be quite attacker-sided anyway. You throw a Warden ban into the mix there, and that plays quite nicely into some of the things that CAG want to bring. It isn't something that they exploited too much. They only picked up 3 rounds, but it was an equal 3-3 split on that first attack on Border for CAG. The biggest problem with Border attacks was BDS. They weren't able to win.
They didn't play the way Border is. Border is not a slow-paced map. It's not a map where you sit there there and go piece by piece, build it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It is fast, it is chaotic, you need to get in there. If there's a warden ban, why are you not playing your Inks? Why are you not playing your Glass? The same way that CAG were. BDS should not play the meta that you need to. If you're picking border, you have to play it fast. It's such a unique map. It is the chaos map off the pool. And if you don't play it like that, you will lose. And BDS, they learned that the hard way. I think we were sitting at the back and we were kind of like, okay, Oregon, they should win this. Still, the fact that BDS dropped the map was still really bad because they should be coming in here, picking up the 4 points. Away they go, on to tomorrow. But the fact that CAG even got the point, we were sitting there saying, that's actually quite a decent result for CAG in the long scheme of things because other teams will probably get 2-0'd by BDS. That's where they can make up the points. But they've walked away with 3 points today that you would never expect to happen. And as we know, of course, yes, it's still a blip for BDS. You would still expect the BDS will get a couple of wins in this group. But for CAG today, this is where the momentum for this team is going to take off. As much as what we talk about BDS haven't played well today, CAG, all credit to them.
Yeah, here's your notes. BDS border map 2 equals bad. Those were your words. That's in your notes.
I didn't.
I mean,
say
I
it
thought
like
I was
that.
just
I'm
summarizing.
making it easy for you. I make it easy for you.
Okay, moving on. Ollie, I feel like we're kind of harping on BDS really hard right now. Let's talk about CAG a little bit more. I mean, we were seeing a lot of good things from them, and they definitely had the energy and the spirit. They played with nothing to lose.
They did, and it was really refreshing because we didn't know what to expect with Arcully coming in. And he had a few big moments as well. It was nice to see. It wasn't just, sort of the old guard that were really carrying a lot of that heavy lifting and doing a lot of that hard work. They were really able to shut BDS down in quite a few occasions, and that's one of the things that you've got to do. CYCLOPS is always going to go out there and get a ton of kills. It really is about the team around him, and that's one of the things that we've really credited with this new BDS is that the team are playing well, not just the one-man band. But CAG did a really good job of neutralizing the team. Let CYCLOPS get a few kills. It isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things because they're still going to come away with the win. And that's what they were able to do today. There's still that level of teamwork on CAG. They've only changed one player, so you've not lost all of the synergy. You've lost a little bit, but you haven't lost everything. And they've still got that ability to play off the back of each other in a very quick and fast way.
Look, we've watched a lot of CAG. We've been able to cast a lot of CAG. And one thing I think stood out for me and you today was they weren't throwing their leads.
No.
There was no clutches happening for BDS today, which is unlike them.
Yeah.
We expect to see the big clutches happening, but CAG just steadied the ship and didn't give anything.
Truly, truly. Honestly, I'm still in shock here, but we still have so much more ahead of us. We're going to be talking Dark Zero versus Heroic in just a few minutes here, so don't go anywhere. Just a quick break. BDS lost. What happened?